Can cricket make it in America? Why does cricket want to make it in America? Are Americans asking for this? Is there a World Cup on? All these questions as more as we bring to you the most complete, the most insightful, and the most honest preview of the T20 World Cup. The third one in 4 years. Can more juice be squeezed? We enlist the help of AFL Hall of Famer Jimmy Bartel to get into the X's and O's, the matchups and the bun taps of this tournament, and also ask ESPN Cricket Info's Alex Malcolm what time the games are on. Season 3 of the Test is on Prime Video, so we ponder why these blokes are still talking about this. Who did make the fucking rules? And how must one execute them? Aren't they laws? Are we the good guys? Who's a disgrace and who do we like? We let a television show decide for us. Don Bradman's house is for sale. Jimmy Anderson's career is just about over. Jason Gillespie will co-coach Pakistan and the IPL is done for another year. It's a massive show. Sit down, stand up, drive your car, walk your dog, tune out the distractions in your life that get in the way of your happiness. Friends, family, neighbours, brothers, sisters, mums and daddies. Do whatever you need to do to listen to this podcast and feast on the epic return of TGC for yet another World Cup, a carnival of cricket. This episode, Pezza, is brought to you by Budgy Smuggler. Use the code GRADE, GRADE, for a pretty tasty 23% off their underwear and apparel, and is valid until the end of June. Pezza, here we go again. Another World Cup, another carnival of cricket in America this time.
You're coming in hot too, he goes. I like it.
Just about got
to be fair to the TGC boys, we have been covering the IPL for 2.5 months.
Yep.
Most days.
10 or 11
weeks. So to have some
like
subject matter outside of that circus is refreshing, I would say. Refreshing. With respect to the IPL and everything that it is. But it is the same thing most days. So we're coming in hot, and many might say that on your return podcast for the first time in 3 to 4 months or whatever it is.
Many may say this.
You should start with the highest order news item, the most pressing issue.
Yep.
People might say that's a T20 World Cup. Others might say it's Amazon's, or the Prime videos, the Test. I say it's the selling of Bradman's house. I'd like to start there.
And the Swans are playing well.
Swans playing well.
Swans
Can they lock Chad Warner down? We're going to find all that out and more when we speak to triple premiership player, Brownlow medalist, Norm Smith medalist, 300 gamer, Jimmy Bartel. Only one other bloke who did that, I think, Simon Black. Anyway. But Bradman's house is getting refurbished here, guys, and that's where I believe that's my sort of news sense.
Let's talk property.
Exactly, and they reckon it might go for 1.6.
1.6.
I'll tell you what, Barrel. Yeah. The house Bradman lived in. Now, look, we're picking up a couple of stories on this podcast, or a return podcast, that might be a couple of weeks old, because we wanted to have our say.
Sure.
Right? We want to put this on the plate of the listener. Right? The house Don Bradman lived in for 12 years, from 1911, has been put on the market in Bowral. Yep. It was restored to immaculate condition by cricket enthusiast Andrew Lemming. I'm getting this from ABC Online, by the way. And the owner hopes whoever buys it will nurture the house and respect its cultural and sporting history. All right, so this is a house that, and you can go and see it on domain.com or real estate or whatever it is, not an ad. And it's been restored to like 1911 levels.
There's basically nets in the backyard.
No, the what do they call it? The thing that he played with?
The water tank.
The
thing.
tank.
Yeah, the
Pardon
tank.
me.
Yeah.
So is it the tank or a tank? But it's there.
The tank was a guy that he played with. Big shoulders.
Oh, yeah.
For days.
Or Warwick Armstrong there.
Yeah.
Oh, 3 legs. But he was a bit before Bradman's time, I think. But the tank's there.
So how important this backyard, this house, this structure, this architecture, this township is to the culture.
This is on auction.
To the zeitgeist of Australia.
I mean, can you... So just for some background, this place was restored by Andrew Lemming. When he bought it, he said, I told Erica, I think that's his wife, there's an interesting property here. It's a renovation, but if you think it's worth doing, we could do something for cricket, something good for the country, and create a lovely home to live in. What a noble... That's lovely, by the way.
I don't believe in 1.6.
Oh, 1.6 now.
Turn him over, go to work.
Great.
He flipped it.
Mate, great investment. So he's reinstalled the tank stand in this time. I'm just imagining living in this place. I mean, someone has to buy this for the nation, by the way. If this goes to just some, I don't know what is the more national pursuit, actually, like keeping our cultural heritage or actually someone getting good dollar for this.
Yeah. I'm thinking negative gearing implications.
Maybe a bit of both. CA.
It feels like I'm thinking about me living in this house. It's just a bit too Ghost of Girlfriends Past, which I equate to this house and that movie with Matthew McConaughey. I think.
Just for some background here, because Mr. Leeming has actually shown cricket legends and dignitaries by private appointment through Bradman's house over the years. So he said, like, he had Sonny Gavaskar in there at one point. Sonny Gavaskar stood in silence in front of the tank and said, "Thank you, I can die happy now." Jim Maxwell's visited it and stayed overnight. And Leeming says that I've had hardened first grade cricketers come here and burst into tears because they find the place so overwhelming.
We've got to go. We've got to go. Okay, so first of all, Jim Maxwell's now squatting in Bradman's house overnight.
He said it's a spiritual experience. You know, just like the ghost of Bradman coming in.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about, Ghost of Girlfriends Past. The aura and the heaviness of the air that must exist when you walk into the room standing in front of a fucking water cooler tank thing. Think about all the times that Bradman was counting in his head. 7, 8, 9, 10. Middle.
I'm just imagining, like, just the
Probably didn't invite many women back to the house, I wouldn't have thought.
Well, all of it, though.
Maybe he did, I don't know.
Lived like a normal person in a house. Anything you did, like, did your laundry, make dinner and stuff. It'd just be hard to have Bradman's voice out of your head. Loud to Bradman. 4, you know, like.
And don't the boys love it?
I don't know. Anyway, I think it's upon us to put the call out to those who may be interested and of the means to ensure that this house is purchased and preserved for cultural and sporting heritage reasons. I would definitely host a soiree at that place if you could, like, Airbnb it. Oh my
god! Now we're talking fantasy.
Imagine that.
Now just had a dinner. You've got a dinner party now at Bradman's gaff.
Let's say someone we know has a Bucks party, and you're just like, boys, I've got Bradman's childhood home for 3 nights.
It's on Airbnb now. I've Airbnb.
Probably. 3 not, mate. Oh, the damage you would do.
It would be 1.6 then the damage.
Worth it. Something in the bathroom for you there, Don.
You're role-playing Bradman being alive in his house.
Mate, how could you not be talking like him?
That actually would be the greatest. Now, I'd be sceptical, generally speaking, if you go on a Bucks or a stag do, as they say in the UK, and, someone's gone to like a cricket establishment.
Bradman-themed Bucks at his house. Bradman-themed house.
Come on.
Doing, playing in front of the tank nude.
Couple of topless waitresses around.
Cardboard cutout of Bradman. Nah, I mean, bit of respect.
Yeah,
bit of respect.
Nah, come on.
Bit of respect. Anyway, it's on the market, and to the winner goes the spoils.
Now, anyway, the Cricket World Cup is happening. If we go from Bowral to the Bronx, there's no games in the Bronx, but just word starting with B.
You've been in the neighbourhood, isn't
I suppose in the neighbourhood in one of the boroughs, from Bowral to the boroughs. Damn,
nice.
The second time, yeah.
Preparation.
That's right, is key. We are going to America. Well, indeed, I'm going to America tomorrow. You're going on Friday, so we will be in America for the just letting people know our itineraries.
Get it right.
I'll post a flight number later on my Instagram stories.
Well, I thought Pez was going on Friday. What
was there a delay in the...
We're also introducing a few new characters based on Muppets.
Anyway, we'll be in the States for the first 2 or 3 weeks of the World Cup. And so we'll be in Dallas for the first game, which is the USA and Canada, or as they're billing it, the big one. And before we head to New York. And while we're in New York, we're going to do a one-time live show. TJC, one night only.
One night only.
Live in New York. People might have already seen this if you've been across our socials or other messaging and stuff. But it is June 10. It's a night after India-Pakistan, the second big one, I suppose. It's going to be at the Town Hall right there in Broadway. You've been saying, Pezza, that Hamilton is playing a block away. So options are available. As my housemate said to me once, Siamese cat. Options. Not sure what he meant, but that's just what he said.
It's like a Siamese cat. You can go to Hamilton or you can go to the Grade Cricketer in conversation with Ravi Shastri.
Ravi Shastri is our special guest joining us on stage. So there are still tickets available, gradecricketer.com, or you can go on Ticketmaster, or you can just use the internet as any normal person would and find the information to get those tickets. So please do come along and join us for that night. It's going to be one of the biggest and best things I think we've ever done in our lives, let alone TGC careers. I can't wait for it, but it's going to be a whole affair. So we'll be covering the games from the US, Australia, England, India, Pakistan, all those games we'll be reviewing, doing dailies for. You can find that on YouTube or indeed this feed right here through audio if that's how you're consuming this show right now. We want people to get behind us for the live show in New York, Broadway, one night only. Ravi Shastri. Come on.
Sorry.
Come on.
But I don't know about you, like try not to be too sentimental about what TGC is or where it's come from, but I do remember some of the most like dire moments of playing grade cricket, and they tend to revolve around right oval, playing 3s and 4s on a low, slow wicket, etc.
Tough to score right
fielding, over. Fielding at short cover with, a 29-year-old veteran coming into bowl. He'll get 15 overs because he can bowl stump to stump at 95 kilometres an hour and slog a couple at 6, for 30.
Bowling to a 5-4 field, no pace in the ball, keep her up to the stumps.
Exactly.
And it's just how the fuck do I score?
And just choke.
That's it.
And from there to New York Broadway was not something I foresaw.
That wasn't in the business plan.
It was in my head, because I'm fielding at short cover thinking about my business plan for life, how to get out of a part-time job at Officeworks.
Saying that would be fun.
Officeworks.
Would be fun to sing show tunes at short cover. You'd be ostracised from every club and the competition itself.
See, if I played in a cricket team that sung show tunes instead of encourage the bowler, I'm starting to think about coming back. Seriously.
Yeah.
The show tunes team. Look, all I want to say is it's extremely exciting to have probably the biggest and most entertaining voice in the game, Ravi Shastri, joining us on stage. And I don't think it would bother him to relay. You should never relay WhatsApps with the boys, right? As a general rule. Yeah. But it has been nice to note that every single text that he sends is finished with either a beer or wine emoji. Mm-hmm. And I think that should really signal the spirit of the occasion.
Sets the tone.
And very much looking forward to a great night.
Let's talk about the test on Prime Video Season 3. Many people would have seen it since it's come out on Friday. Many people would have feasted on the hour-long-ish episodes over the course of a weekend just to take us back to what was the most visceral, intense, highly strung-out series of cricket that we've had in such a long time that you can only really get in the Ashes, I
did feel it again. I don't know if you had any heart symptoms. I did.
It really did help that our team are the good guys and they're all the best guys. Yeah. That does really help. But I was about to run through a fucking brick wall after watching the first episode, going back to the Edgbaston test match with the run chase and all that kind of stuff after the World Test Championship final, of course. But it does take you back. And then you get into the Lord stuff, of course, and then you get a bit of new information, a new little serotonin hit. Marcus Harris saying we didn't write the fucking rules or whatever he said. It's just like, oh yeah, have we won the Ashes now?
Yeah, very easy to get greedy about these kinds of series. You're like, what if they did the World Cup? What if they did BGT beforehand? Now, I have no information on this. Did ask Cricket Australia why it didn't happen. I just suspect they've got. I didn't get a reply, but I think they're just busy.
Or it's busy stuff,
and also, who's this?
Figuring out who plays which club and stuff when they announce the teams.
Yeah, that's right. Some play for big bash franchises and some play for clubs. And some don't have great clubs, but they just list them anyway. I think.
But the first season of the test was went for 6 episodes, I think, 5 or 6 episodes. And the last one went to 3.
I
covered multiple series still.
Yeah, because it was bookended by a test series in India and then the World Cup. Right, so this third series, right? There's a moment in Series 3 where I think they're referencing. It might be something to do with Todd Murphy's debut for Australia, where he played in India, and I've not had this verified at all. But there's, in order to depict that, where he's standing in among his teammates singing the national anthem, there's an AI image. So I'm just going to put 2 and 2 together without any confirmation, which any presenter worth their salt should do.
Yeah.
And say that you're probably looking at a few rights issues.
Right.
I would have thought Amazon comes in over the top of the BCCI. I'm just thinking in terms of hierarchies of bunts.
Bezos versus Binny. That kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just,
More
water cooler chat. What do you think Bezos versus Binny? But
Top Binny.
you can.
They call him Top.
Yeah, I used to call him Get In There, but Top was easier to say. So I think that's why they haven't done that. But even so, these documentaries, it's easy to get greedy with them and go, well, what about this? What about this? But there is no, like, you don't get any other opportunity to see what's happening inside four walls, and there's still lots of good stuff. Like I'll pick up little things like before the World Test Championship, like the last day, and Cummins is talking to the team on the field, like just little things like Cummins saying like let's play well and drink some winner's piss. Yeah. The Savo. Yep. Like, Cummins with a bit of winner's piss stuff. I don't mind that.
Yeah, okay. Relatable.
There's obviously the exchange during the Ashes, like early on, and encourage people to watch this. But Nathan Lyon talking to Cummo and Hazelwood about a conversation he had with Joe Root. Yeah, like a lot of people have seen the quotes of this. Yeah, but seeing Lyon actually recall it and act it out, and the way he said, "Okay, mate." Root's like, we're in the entertainment business, no draws. Like Lyons just seems to have said to him, like, hey, nice day in the sun today.
Because they're mates. They know each other from Adelaide.
Yeah, from Adelaide. So even that. But obviously everything we say now is going to be interpreted or passed by those in England. It's like, why are you guys still talking about this? Yeah. Like, well, the doco's come out.
Yeah. And the reason is because the World Cup is on Amazon. Is on Prime Video, as they call it. And they are using this to promote their coverage of the World Cup.
Yeah, get the get that subscription. Oh, look, the World Cup's on. Yeah. I'm going to watch that.
No, stick around. Set and forget.
Other things are good to see that you don't see, like nonsense waiting by the bus singing "Broadie's going to get you."
Yep. Yep.
Head scores 100 in the World Test Championship final, and there's basically 20 minutes of him going, "Oh, I just absolutely haven't touched a bat in 2 months." I mean, he hadn't. To be fair, he was getting engaged, but I like they can do that.
He literally had yet to sit down in the dressing room after scoring that 100, and Marcus Harris is already there with a Guinness, with a pint.
Man, Harry's had a great role in this doco.
Yeah,
he's come out very well. Needs to, but I mean, great for Harry.
Yeah,
Guinness, no ice. Hetty wants ice, and Harry's like, you don't drink Guinness with ice, mate.
One thing that is true, I feel like anyway, I mean, they're my team, therefore I'll die. Yeah. I'll die on the hill for them.
Of course.
But like it does give you a certain kinship to them, I feel like. It's just another layer of like you understand them a little bit better, I suppose.
You never hate anyone whose story you know.
Well, that's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Other thing, Warner's basically not in it, which I think that's just pretty much the way it's been. A bit of Bairstow stuff. Cummins tells Kerry to do it. Kerry can you can see them in the sheds like as soon as they come off after Lords, and I need those gesticulations, to be honest. Like I'm getting greedy with this. Yeah, there's a whole conversation about should Cummins have like owned that to protect Kerry, maybe who knows. But I wouldn't mind director's cut of like the ball before, like it's clear Cummins told him the ball before to do it. I want to see what that gesticulation looks like.
Yeah,
gorge on that.
Yeah.
And the final one I picked up was they had, there's a whole section about the ball change in the final test. Now, for me, that's funny. I think that's 1-0 England for the ball change in their like course of time.
Oh yeah,
that's just funny.
I think both things are true of like those two really heightened instances of the run out and the ball change. Like the more time that passes, and I think it happened very quickly in Australia, especially. But like Bairstow is probably just a little bit stupid, a little bit dopey. He's out. Okay, enough time passes, and it'll be like less about the controversy and the ethics of Alex Carey's actions, and more just like, he's just a little bit dopey, wasn't he? And same with the ball change. Like at the time, you can see the reaction of the players like fucking blowing up Deluxe. Probably a bit too much, if I'm honest. But when you look at it now, it's like, that's pretty funny.
That's the part you look at, like they're like Warner and Khawaja just. Like as soon as it's new, they realise it's a newish ball. They're fucking telling everybody. Yeah, it's fucking brand new, man. As they get off the field, like bloke's like, okay, good. Looking forward to that. Australia's got like 250 to win, 10 wickets in hand. Yeah. Might pull off something historic.
Last day of the Ashes series,
and then none for 130 or whatever it is, and they just walk in. It's like, mate, this ball's doing fucking everything. It's got a mind of its own. So, okay,
it's a bit defeatist, isn't it?
Like there's balance. Like Stark's there going like, well, we didn't adapt. That's what happened. So it's good to see some balance there. But I was like,
he's a bowler, so
yeah. Oh yeah. Fucking 41 fucking overs says here. The fucking ball is brand fucking new, mate. Anyway, that was Warner's contribution. Anyway, I worth a watch. Worth a watch.
Yep.
Would have been good if they'd done India as well.
Jimmy Anderson, of course.
Yeah.
Several weeks ago, but has announced his retirement. So he will retire from international cricket after England's first test of the summer at Lords. That's against the West Indies, of course, bringing down a curtain on a legendary career which began 21 years ago. Anderson, who is going to be 42 in July. So right now he's 41, and then in July he'll be 42.
Oh, thank you.
And that's how that's going to work. Made his test debut at Lords, same grounds, 2003 against Zimbabwe. I mean...
It's a joke.
It's just that longevity, and for a fast bowler as well, it's just unbelievable. It's
a joke.
Unbelievable. I suppose the way that it came about, there was some controversy about how that information was revealed. A lot of people were saying like, well, let James Anderson do it rather than the story breaking about what had happened. So as of course is our want. We need to call out Ali Martin and distance ourselves from his work.
Yeah, it's been good to work with him until now.
Yeah,
frankly,
yeah,
but
that's right.
What he's done is a disgrace.
It's a disgrace.
It's a disgrace to the game. And what he should have done once, as a journalist, he learned this was going to happen. What he should have done was say, "Don't worry, Jimmy, I'll look after you here."
Yeah, that's right.
People have been calling him out, saying the state of journalism is a disgrace. But look, I'm just going to go out on a limb and suggest the state of journalism would be a disgrace if he didn't do it.
Yeah.
But just on Jimmy, 21 years, 700 wickets. I mean, it's incredible.
Unders probably.
It seems like they've basically had to stage an intervention to end it. Like McCullum's flown halfway across the world to play a round of golf with him. Yeah, and just be like,
he must have known it. He must have known that the jig was up. Like McCullum's flown around the world to play golf. Oh, maybe that's actually what they do.
He talks well about it on Tailenders. Shout out to Tailenders. Yep. Great cast. And he's like, oh no, I mean, he does appraisals. He just does appraisals for every player. I'm like, other side of the world.
Long way to go.
Something's got to be coming.
Yeah, a little tap on the shoulder there.
I just want to know what it looks like. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe Anderson needs this. He says himself on Tailenders, like he's been institutionalised in cricket. He's been there his whole life. You know? So maybe he needed that. But what does it look like? Like when does McCullum do that on the course?
Yeah, first tee, putting
just,
green beforehand.
Yeah. By the way, Lords is your last. Is that it? Or is it like let Jimmy win?
Yeah, you have to wait until the end of the round.
Take the cash.
And
then let him know. So
like McCullum 8 putts the last.
That's right. And then tell him 2 hours.
Oh, Jimmy, well played. What a great day and career. See you later. Yeah.
Tells him, then defeats him and takes the cash.
Gee, that's alpha.
I'm just wondering, like it's an alpha. It's rich in alpha exploration. Just wondering. But yeah, that sidebar around Ali. I mean, like I think it's incredible. There's been a focus on Ali literally doing his job, and not whomever it was who had loose lips. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, how did Ali find out that
why isn't anybody asking?
Yeah,
you know, who told Ali or who told someone else who told Ali? Like, where's that? I'd imagine it'll be a very tight circle of people.
Well, it was actually a 3-ball on the course, and Ali was the third one. He just happened to be there.
Well, that's a big story. Oh, you mean golf? Yeah, like, and also the fact that actually implicates other players in the team as well, who were like, well, I didn't break that story. So anyway, I mean, he's gonna get a farewell test at Lords. Not bad, Jimmy. Great career.
Indeed. The county championship's also going on at the moment. Now, I'm not sure about you, but whoever's in charge of the socials for the county championship, now, I can't tell if they're doing God's work or they're just taking the piss, because like I'm getting
fine line these days.
Most of the things I see is like, here's this complete fuck up in professional cricket, and it's like some of the worst stuff I've ever seen. Bats being thrown, double bounces, triple bounces, drop catches, insignificant stuff. I very rarely see like execution of high skill, and which is odd because like I look at the players who's playing. Lots of the England guys are playing. Ben Stokes is bowling long overs. Nathan Lyons over there. Zach Crawley scoring some runs. I see enough good things, and then but everything that's being fed for me, maybe it's an algorithm stuff. But
it's jarring when you like watch the test and there's a section on Crawley's scintillating 100 in the middle of the series, and Australia, the best cartel since the last one, unable to contain him, and then then you get fed on the algorithm of him bringing up a 100 off a triple bouncer, which then gets called back because that's an illegal delivery or something. Yeah. So I did note at the start of the county championship that it's our reserve to sledge county championship because as grade cricketers we would like to believe that grade cricket's a better standard, right? When clearly that's just professional players who are way better, but even so. It was interesting to note early on in the county championship they did 2 rounds of the Kookaburra ball. So not the dark red dukes that nibbles around. And basically every team laid on 1,000 runs.
Yep.
And then Rob Key, the head of English cricket afterwards, is like, they should do Kookaburra ball every round. Like that, and this links to the Jimmy stuff. Like England just has massive airspeed theory. They are laser focused on the Ashes out here. They want 150s through the chest for blokes who can, stay on the park.
Good.
Yeah, I think it's good. So Rob Key is trying to kill the 75-mile-per-hour trundler. He's trying to kill Darren Stevens.
Good.
In English cricket.
Well, that will garner a lot more respect from Australians, which is obviously the most important, clientele.
Well,
for
I
them to
understand.
impress.
Yeah, I'm listening now.
that's right. No, but like seriously, I mean, given how, to say that England have been poor, and like I'm just leaving the foot in here for perhaps unnecessarily, but like the last couple of times they've been here has been so bad, like embarrassingly bad. And so, like,
would you say it's been dog shit?
I would say that, and you know what? In many ways, I'm sure I have. But so they should be changing it, and they have a cartel themselves who are struggling to stay on the park. Your Ollie Stones, your Jofra Archers, and Mark Wood, but they have enough there where you think they could actually compete out here if they sort it out. And like this is a strategy to acclimatise us, not acclimatise in different conditions, but you know what I mean. Use the same equipment as what is being used out here. I think it's good. Make the fucking Ashes competitive out here for once since they smashed us in 2011, which does hurt us, doesn't it?
Oh,
it hurts us a lot.
Yep, it's this century they've done the thing that no one's been able to do.
Yep.
So,
and outside of that, I don't know, they've only won like one game apart from that series in the last this century.
In Australia.
In Australia, I mean, yeah.
Right.
But they did it,
but
they smashed us.
Yep.
So that does hurt us.
Yep, definitely.
So Australia's been there the last few times, competed, a couple of draws obviously, haven't quite got over the line, but competed. There's something, but that would be a better achievement had 2011 not happened out here,
Yep.
It hurts us.
Oh, they had a chance in the last series too. I mean, 2019
was the one,
me. But even you watch the tests. Where are they? Headingley, and they're
Arna sweeps and gets
mate,
out. Yeah,
they got a 94-run lead with 9 wickets in hand.
England are teetering at that point,
and then Moeen Ali just with some innocuous deliveries gets Marnus and Smith. That's where it turns. At no other point.
Because everything would have stayed exactly the same.
Everything would have stayed precisely the same, but that's the point where it turns. And in cricket, there can only be one point where it turns. Otherwise, anyway, so county championship. That's our wrap.
Yeah, that's our wrap. Also, Marnus is buying bouncers.
10 teams. No. Oh yeah, Marnus is opening the batting.
He's opening the batting for Glamorgan.
Yeah.
Gloucestershire,
Glamorgan. So wild speculation that and particularly with Uzi out in the press as well for Prime to say, mightn't be Smithy. So love talking about that stuff in May.
Well, here's something we do like talking about on this show: Budgy Smuggler. Pezza. Budgy Smuggler is back, baby.
Our greatest ever supporters.
I said at the top that you can use the code GRADE, Grade, all in capitals if that's your preference, for 23% off their underwear and apparel, and that's going to be valid until the end of June, which actually works out nicely because that's the run of this podcast series we're going to be doing right until the end of the World Cup.
Wow.
So there you go.
That's amazing how it lines up like that.
Yeah.
The campaign we're getting behind is their brand new underwear. Actually, they have a whole bunch of new apparel.
Okay.
Budgy Smuggler. It ain't just smugglers. Now they've got this campaign running at the moment with Australia's most ordinary rig. That's Josh Clutterbuck. Took the words right out of your mouth. Now he's co-host of Bloody Brilliant Beers. Good show. Clutzy. Clutzy. With the NRL's hottest player, Herbie Farnworth. Have you seen Herbie Farnworth? Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Thoughts?
It's a rig. Got something out of Charlie there.
I mean, is it to your taste? Because it is to my. It's
something for your eyes.
I can't fault it.
Yeah, it's a little treat for the senses there.
English too. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Clutzy and Herbie Farnworth together in the campaign, just showing that this underwear's for everybody.
Right. Okay. Full spectrum. The full gambit.
I mean, they do this material really well. So according to Linny, he's told me this. They've been through about 527 revisions of this underwear to get to what they feel like Australia's most comfortable underwear.
That's okay. That's huge if true.
Yeah.
527.
Yep.
Most comfortable underwear. And we're giving people a discount.
Yeah. So by the way,
Good
if you use the
times
word
to stop here.
grade,
Yeah.
you're going to get 23% off that underwear. We want to stick with the theme of, I guess Klutzy and Herbie Farmworth. Let's call it hot or not.
Let's call it hot or not.
Whoever who's hot there is in the eye of the beholder.
Right.
Because for me, it's Klutzy, bloody brilliant beers, pod, magic round stuff, doing good work. Right. That's hot shit. I want to raise an issue with you that's come up that kind of straddles what we're discussing. We've basically been leading with Australian and England cricket after 3 hard months of the IPL.
Right.
I've rounded that up, but it is.
Yep. Let's call it 6 months. Always round from there 6 months.
Well, it will be 6 months soon.
Yeah. You can bet your bottom dollar, which would be one of the songs I'd sing at short cover.
Doing the can. With extra cover. So, Bredig, friend of the show, Dan Bredig, interviewed Adam Zampa the other day.
Yes.
Zampa with this quote, right?
Yes.
Hot or not? I want to know what you think.
Okay.
Zorba says, there's always a lot of chat around, can you play franchise cricket all year round? It was something I'd thought about. At what age do I try and get to play a bit of franchise cricket? But after 2023, winning the World Cup and all that, having a young family now as well, I realised I just want to play for as long as I can. And instead of trying to play 9 or 10 months of the year, it's play 6 or 7. He says, I've really come to love playing for Australia. I always loved it, but especially under Vittoria, McDonald, Pat and Mitch as captains. It's just so enjoyable. I make good money playing for Australia, and I would love to prioritise playing for Australia and being with my family. Now, here's the kicker. He goes, he says, I don't get enough out of franchise cricket. It's great for certain aspects of your life, and it can be really enjoyable, but it's not like being in the Aussie dressing room. Not for me anyway. I don't get the same buzz out of it.
Wow.
Now,
wow.
What a pig.
Yeah. Well, he's embarrassed himself there. First of all, he's shit.
Well, hang on.
Okay.
I'm just presenting one perspective, right?
Yeah.
That of just a human and their experience.
Sorry, yeah.
Right? And now here's some other perspectives.
Okay.
AKA Twitter comments underneath.
Yeah.
Bredig.
Yep.
He's just wild. He's just wild because he isn't afforded the same financial compensation as his Australian counterparts, given that his particular skills are rather prevalent in India.
Yep.
Says one. Another says clubs rejected him, and I hope they will keep rejecting him.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Another says, why does he then put himself in the auction, get selected, and then withdraw at the last instance? Is that professional? Speaking of hypocrisy. Someone else says, rejects. He's been in the IPL for ages. Never gets a game. Someone else says, let's see. What was his contract value again in the IPL? Was probably getting peanuts. Could be more of a case of sour grapes.
Yeah, I think so.
Guy goes unsold in auction, so bound to make such statements.
Yep.
Sour grapes, your skill set is as good as India's FC leg spinners. First class, not football club.
Right.
So why should franchises waste millions on you?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So obviously well taken from people who like the IPL. I mean, the first thing to point out is I don't think he was necessarily talking about the IPL, just talking about all franchise cricket.
Yeah.
Some people need to understand there's other games that happen outside the IPL.
That's not true in my experience, but yeah.
Yeah. I guess, look, from my perspective, Zampa is just talking like a normal person, going, I just like playing for this team and I've made some okay money and that's all good. And just
not for me, mate. Not for me.
Okay.
Not for me. I think he's shit, and if he's going to talk in the media about other places, he needs to, take a knee and he needs to kiss the ring. Okay?
Kaepernick style.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yep. That's exactly right.
I mean, it's pretty dumb from a business perspective, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you got to fish where the fish are. Mm-hmm. Right? You know? Babe, Sunrisers Durban want me post BBL, and then that goes into the IPL. And he's like, oh, what about life at home with our children? Nah, coin. I've only got a short career here.
Yep.
So, something to think about in terms of the future of the game.
Yep.
Zorba. Should we talk about the IPL?
The Kolkata Knight Riders beat
Just a normal
Sunrisers.
guy going, I'd just rather play 6 or 7 months from a country. Yeah, not for me. Anyway, go to budgysmuggler.com if you want that apparel.
And use the code GRADE. Kolkata Knight Riders beat Sunrisers Hyderabad in the final. Now, if we were putting an Australian lens over this, as we might, as we're living here, we're talking to a lot of Australians right now through the years, you'd say, well, Mitchell Stark's KKR defeated Pat Cummins and Travis Head's Sunrisers Hyderabad. Because I feel like in Australia, that is how most people follow the IPL, if they are following at all. You obviously still get the news reports, you get it flash up in your social media and that kind of stuff. I would find it very, very hard to believe if 1% of cricket lovers in Australia watch the IPL. Now, I only say that because it's like extremely inconvenient to watch the games. They start at midnight, they finish about 4:30 a.m., etc., etc. So all you're really getting is you're just getting highlights shown to you through like your news channels and your social medias of guys who play for the national side playing in various colours for the IPL, and they just might be doing, they might hit a 60, they might have taken it too far, someone's taken a catch. That's how people consume it. So like it is much more like NBA, like athlete-driven supporting if you are supporting it all. You're not really supporting the teams or the competition. You just like Travis Head, you like Mitchell Starc, you like Jake Fraser-McGurk, and it's like, oh, an Aussie doing well overseas, that makes me feel good. I feel like I've connected to this competition enough, and now I'm going to go on with my footy.
Yeah, like the IPL is the vehicle that gets most crunched around like global entertainment principles. This year was no different. Yeah, it's like individuals first, saturation coverage always on, and to be fair, like within India, to whom it's mainly marketed, in fact, like completely marketed, everything else is just a bonus. It's revered and loved, right? So
loved,
and then this. There's serious fervour around it. There's tribalism. There are all those factors that many here would consider to be, like key parts of real sport. But by the same token, like it is being crunched around entertainment principles. So this time around, like speaking to people who wouldn't have really followed the IPL apart from seeing head heroics with 34 off 28 to get Sunrisers through to the semi or some shit,
right,
or the final. But impact sub was massive this year. So basically teams can play 12.
Yes.
They can play an extra bat.
Yeah.
So that just meant scores rocketed up. Like there was what, 15 scores over 200 or more?
There was 17 before the playoffs. I don't think there actually was any score above that, so it might have been 17.
Yeah, right.
Which was the same amount as last year, actually. Yeah. And the next highest year after that was like 7 or 8 or something like that.
3 of the top 4 scores ever in the IPL came this year. Like guys like Fraser McGurk absolutely dominated as a result of that. Just come in, pure swing, bulk runs in the power play. Anything else on top of that is a bonus. And that was mainly through the middle of the tournament. Kind of tapered off towards the end as wickets probably got more tired, etc.,
right.
cricket, etc. RIP. And what else through the IPL? Like big market teams didn't fire. RCB like scraped through to the final somehow, even though 2 weeks earlier they had a 0% chance of winning the title. Heaps of teams were log jammed in the middle. And the other thing that remained the same is that it's about Dhoni, really.
Yep.
Every time he plays home or away, everybody's in yellow jerseys. It's an incredible spiritual experience for people. He transcends the game more than I think we can possibly understand here, even us.
Yeah. 74 games in total from game 1 to the final. 74 games this year. That was the same as last year. There's going to be 84 games next year, 84 games in 2026 as well, and then 94 games starting from 2027. Like you see where this is going.
No, not really.
And then after that, it's actually just going to be like 1 week, and then they're just going to play tests.
Well, that's my dream.
Yeah, it's that is the expansion of it.
Yeah.
That is... I don't know if it's the elephant in the room. It's just that is the most important thing about the IPL. On top of that, the love that so many people have for the IPL and what it is giving that community of cricket lovers. I don't see how, just in my head, no research for this, I don't see how at some point the IPL doesn't go for at least 5 months. Now, whether that's in 5 years' time or 20, I'm not really sure. But
or it's a tour. I mean, it's already happening.
It's already happening now, but I'm talking about just the IPL itself.
Yeah.
I mean, like how it doesn't get to a point where there's multiple games happening on each night and it just goes for maybe even 6 months. I don't know. But already there would just be like so much money being left on the table because it is such an enormous tournament. I mean, it actually competes globally with the NFL, with the Premier League, outperforms those in certain metrics depending on what your argument you're trying to make. But I don't see how it just doesn't completely envelop the calendar. Now, it already has, of course, and what's happening as well is that like the IPL the IPL owners of teams in the IPL that also own teams in different countries, and so as to your point, it's just becoming a tour. Now, obviously, Australia and England have resisted that so far, but is that just a matter of time? I'm not sure. Well, I feel like it would be, yes. And also, just from an Australian perspective, this really does happen when we're sleeping. Now, like literally when we're sleeping, but also just in the winter when we're not really paying attention anyway. So there is a degradation happening in front of our eyes. Now, that's not India's problem. India don't need the Australian population to watch these games. They don't need the England population to watch these games. There is no need to have those eyeballs on this tournament because they love it more than us. That's just the truth. And the population is just such that it doesn't. Who gives a fuck what we think, you know? But for a lover of the game here, I'm watching the IPL and I'm at the start. I'm like, you know what? This is fucking good. And it just goes on and on and on. And just with T20 cricket, generally, it does degrade a little bit, like your enjoyment of the sport, I feel like. I mean, that's just for me at the moment. Like, T20 cricket is good until it's like ready for something else now. Ready for something else. And I don't know how it just doesn't just completely take over the calendar if it hasn't already,
Yeah, because of the money that it generates and the market that responds to it, right?
Exactly.
I agree with you. Like, I think when you read, I mean, we reviewed 45 out of 74 games, which meant we were across those games and generally across the other games as well. And my feel is that, like, when you assess what captains and coaches say after most games, it's like take your pick out of like the dew came in, the dew didn't come in. We bowled into the wicket. We targeted the long side of the boundary. I do find it like, though it's, like there's a lot of brilliant tactics and new elements of the game to explore in that format of the game.
Definitely.
It doesn't, when you watch it night after night, it can become formulaic, all I'm saying, in terms of my own enjoyment. But it's not, as we've said before, it's not particularly made for us who were not raised on that diet. And it does seem to reflect as, India kind of tightens its control on the game, its vision for the game. And it definitely squeezes a lot of money out of it. And I do think it's not unrelated to us seeing the World Cup travel over to the US. I think one of the most interesting parts of the World Cup going to the US, at least, for the first half of the tournament, is that for the first time, cricket is going to be repackaged to Americans through the face of India and India's vision for the game, which is T20 cricket, crash and bash. I think it's potentially worth remarking upon that that the teams in the US, of the teams in the US, they are all South Asian, apart from South Africa and Ireland, I think. Is that right? The big Anglo teams, which will probably be associated with cricket to most Americans, will not be seen. And so I just think that these are all symbolic matters in terms of like, what India's vision for the game is. And I still think we're very much in the Wild West. There's a lot of talk, a lot of rhetoric out there about what the ICC needs to do to protect international cricket, to protect Test cricket, to create windows, etc. They're not forthcoming just yet. The things are still being reoriented. The monopoly board is still being bought up. And from that position of strength, Test cricket will somehow, have to try and survive, or international cricket will somehow have to try and survive. But that's really been the experience of watching the IPL this time around. There is lots of it. There's going to be more of it. And it makes bulk bunts, and everyone else has got to try and adjust. Now, what grade club Nick Maddison's going to go to, now that he's back in New South Wales, probably more interesting to me. Josh Phillippe as well is arriving. So
something for everyone on the show.
Something for everyone on the show. We saw. He goes, unless anything else on the IPL, just a bit of talk in the last couple of weeks of who might be the new India coach. A lot of speculation around this. Particularly given that you're actually allowed to apply for the role openly. There's a Google Doc you can fill out.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, of course. Sorry. But I suppose the big talking point from an Australian perspective is that, like, Ricky Ponting and Justin Langer were sort of mentioned in dispatches. Ricky Ponting confirmed via relaying a conversation he had with his son that Daddy's been offered the Indian job.
That's right.
To which it was interesting to see Jay Shah a couple of days later say, neither I nor the BCCI have approached any former Australian cricketer with a coaching offer. And you look at the specific language there. It says the reports circulating in certain media sections are completely incorrect. So Jay Shah may be saying, well, we didn't approach with an offer. But Ricky Ponting's talking to Fletcher and going like, Daddy's been offered the job. So somebody's lying.
He may
Chris Isaac style.
That may be a misreport because Ricky Ponting might have been saying that Dada's been offered the job, and he was actually talking about Sourav Ganguly. That's what I think has probably gone down here.
The old sponsor of the Penrith Panthers.
Yeah, and that's what Ricky would be saying to his young son as well.
Well, you've cleared that up.
Have you heard Dada's been? That's just how they talk around the house.
That's what punter would say. Like Jay Shark calls him and goes, "Hey, punt."
Yeah.
Rick.
Hey, Rick.
Hey, Rick.
Okay.
Why got to be talking about our private dealing? And Rick goes, no, I was talking about Sourav.
Sourav, yeah. Dada.
Dada's been up for the job. Langer, to be fair with JL, who says, like, not for me, also then throws KL Rahul under the bus.
That's right.
Goes, like, KL Rahul said, it was like, man, precious times 1,000 on this.
Yeah. Don't do it.
He's got his own issues, KL Rahul, getting into the side. But to be fair, JL has never claimed he was offered the job. No. He's just saying, not for me right now.
Well,
but that would have been awesome, though, narrative styles.
You would have seen this. Gambier's rumoured to be one. He's probably the most heavily reported.
It's got to be Gambier.
However, I saw from them this morning a report from NDTV.
The districts.
Claims
the trees?
The trees.
What are the trees saying?
NDs.com, yep. Claims that Gambier is only willing to apply for the post if he is given a selection guarantee. So the former India opening batter isn't keen to just be an applicant for the post. He's saying, like, yeah, if you offer me the job, I will be interested in it.
Oh, man.
Because that's the kind of stuff you want to see.
You know, there have been issues between Gambier and Kohli in the past. Now, like, you talk, Gambier is he's feisty. It's chip on the shoulder stuff, which is good from a narrative perspective.
Big time.
Gambier out in Australia, all sorts of gear there.
Yeah.
But Gambier,
all sorts of gear.
Gambier, Kohli stuff, they'll claim there's nothing going on. This is cricket.
Yeah, come on.
Of course there's stuff.
Something always going on.
That's good. Yeah, it's cat pigeons. Cat pigeons. I'm confused with Cat Stevens.
Is he talking about Cat Stevens or Cat Pigeons?
No, Cat Pigeons.
Cat Pigeons. Hey, Jason Gillespie, you might remember him as a former Australian paceman. He's been appointed Pakistan's next test coach in a major reshuffle. So Gillespie's will be joined by South African batter Gary Kirsten, who is going to lead Pakistan through the T20 World Cup, which will end in June, obviously, as we were saying before. And then Gillespie will commence his role in August. But you know, one last parting shot, though, from Dizzy.
Yeah.
For the Sackers, for the South Australian Cricket Association. He's left dual roles in Sacca with a year to run in his contract to coach Pakistan's test team. Now, he accused SA Club Cricket of having a chip on their shoulder themselves.
And Jason Gillespie slams South Australia's cricket culture at the grade level.
Oh, yes. Was it stunning, and were they stunned?
I mean, Dizzy, you know, if Dizzy's slamming something, that it's worth slamming.
Yeah, that's right. So he's saying that
he doesn't. It's not his go, really.
Saying that the club cricket have a chip on their shoulder and wanting the men's state team, formerly known as the Redbacks, to fail. Here are his quotes via Code Sports. It was almost that people are happier when the South Australian team are not performing, Gillespie told Code Sports. In a vicious parting shot, claiming he had been worn down in his pursuit of SA's first Sheffield Shield since 95-96 by a culture of negativity and self-interest in South Australian cricket. Here's what he said again. It's very much all about their individual clubs, their own individual clubs. There's so much negativity. I would have loved one day in my role at South Australia for someone in clubland to say, what can we do to help South Australian cricket? Never got that once. It's all, what is the Sacca doing for us? That's just cricket. Selfishness.
I mean, I'm sorry, Dizzy.
Yeah,
friend of the show.
Grow up.
But Dizzy, you're out of touch.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
If I'm not being selected in the stateside, I want them to lose every week. Every week.
I'm sort of buoyed by this.
And that's why I play Murphy fourth grade.
Why? Like, is Dizzy that out of touch with how grade cricket works?
Come on.
That's exactly the mentality. You know, that has essentially driven Australian cricket since, you know, Warwick Armstrong.
If you get a duck in a game, let's go game level. If you get a duck in a game, you want your team to be bowled out for 12. You don't want to see guys around you scoring hundreds or 50s or 30s.
Yeah. The
actual utopia of club cricket, 35.
Paper. If I'm playing twos at Glenelg, I'm not fucking JFK going like, ask not what I can do. You know, asking what I can do for Sacca cricket.
Yeah.
I want to make my 17, scratch off, or get my front pad blown off, 9/11 style.
Yep.
Interestingly, USA, Pakistan, that's happening in Dallas, which I think is appropriate. But when that happens, I'm not asking myself, like, what can I do to support South Australian cricket right now?
No.
I mean, I'm not even asking what I can do to help my club or my team. As soon as I get out, I'm hoping for the failure of my teammates.
Because if someone asks me to get drinks, I'm telling them to get fucked.
Yeah.
Let alone help the state. I'm just one man.
If someone's asking me to score, I'm like, not if Barry's still doing it. Has he passed a child protection check?
Yeah.
You know?
That's exactly right.
Working with children checks is probably a more... Anyway, that's for another day. Where are we up to? He goes, we're nearly there. Shall we... Hey, we're bringing these boys back. Here we go.
This episode is brought to you by our friends over at Manscaped. TM, okay? Like to call fresh ball fall.
Yeah.
Introducing the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra.
Yeah.
Oh, how are the Ultras? The leaders in below-the-waist grooming are here to make sure that your foliage isn't the only thing shedding its excess leaves. Make sure to trim your bush with the best and let Mother Nature do the rest. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped, TM, by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code TGC. Remember, lads, when you trim the weeds, the tree always stands taller.
Had an issue with my Manscaped the other day.
Had an issue?
Yeah, I lost the charger. And they sent me one, which was really... I only realised once I didn't have my Manscaped anymore that I was in trouble. Like the notion of regressing, like sort of from industrialisation to agriculture, was unsatisfactory to me. You know? Like once... And I do have other clippers. Not to be confused with Wayne Phillips' Flipper in South Australia.
Or the LA Clippers.
Yeah, that's right. Flipper. But... I can't use that because it's that will actually cut me now. Like
You can't use your kitchen scissors and you're standing in the kitchen with your trousers around just below the knees, bending over.
Yes.
Past the navel.
Yes.
Just trying to arch your back a little bit, just to arc it out.
Yeah.
And just get right in there with the kitchen scissors.
Yeah. Trying to shampoo and conditioner your pubic hair to then run a comb through it to make sure it's easily cuttable.
And then you realise that you've actually had an electrician around the house all morning and you've forgotten you're still there and he walks in and says, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
I said, "Mind your own fucking business." Use
trimming-
the code TGC for a start.
Exactly. I'm trimming the hedges. I mean, people who are new to this podcast, like it's been a little while since we've done Manscaped, really.
Is it? Yeah.
We are believers in the product, genuinely. Like I'm a user, big time.
Yeah.
Really. It's unfortunate somehow, like I need to use it. That's all I'm saying, and and I find it extremely helpful.
Yeah,
helpful in the extreme.
It gets the job done. It's 6 points in a song. You can sing show tunes.
And the thing is, last time we did Manscaped, I think we're at the Lawnmower 4.0, but now we're at 5. So
well, 5 Ultra.
Mate, yeah, Ultras, Western Sydney Wanderers stuff.
There's a when it's fully charged, a guy will come in with a steel drum and he starts banging to the beat of the song.
Yeah. So anyway, and there's other accoutrements. You got your weed whacker nose hair trimmer, of course. I know you're asking about this. Your liquid formulations, 2 free gifts with Manscaped boxes and travel bag. You got LED spotlights, skin safe blade heads. I know I'm taking the words out of your mouth here. A new foil blade to go smooth wherever your heart desires. Yeah. That's the Lawnmower 5.0 trimmer. Hey, we're asking you to get around it.
Yeah, get around
Manscaped can get around us. But honestly, if you've got issues down there, and you would,
you've got issues.
Yeah,
not you. I'm talking about people listening.
Well, no, I do. But get yourself a Manscaped Lawnmower 5.0. Use the code TGC, 20% off. Manscaped.com.
All right, Pezza, here's a question for you.
Yep.
Do you ever get frustrated you can't watch certain live sports events because they aren't televised and you're available in your little country there?
Yes. I do.
With Nord VPN, I can switch my virtual location to a country that is showing the sports event that you are trying to watch.
Yeah.
So I don't miss out on the action. I can watch it live.
Yeah.
Being on the brink of global recession, the world is going a bit crazy, and I need to cut back on spending and save some money whilst protecting myself online. Mm-hmm. Solution. NordVPN helps me save money as well as protect me from cybercrime. I change my virtual location and sign up for subscription services via other countries and pay a cheaper price.
This is awesome.
And I do this every week.
Yeah.
So e.g. sign up to Netflix whilst virtually being in Mexico is actually much cheaper than the US or the UK.
Okay.
Also, I can book flights and holidays via another country and pay less. So NordVPN essentially pays for itself with savings. Savings.
You okay?
You can grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to the custom URL through the episode show notes to get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan plus 4 months for free. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. It's nordvpn.com/TGC. NordVPN, getting behind TGC once again. Change your location, save yourself a bit of bunts. What the fuck are you doing not using this, okay? What the fuck is your problem?
Selfish.
How dumb are you? Are you a fucking idiot?
Haven't you listened to this ad? You make money.
You are
by
so
using it.
fucking dumb if you don't do this.
Fuck. It's the sense that you're quite good at that that's concerning.
Like I've done it before.
Yeah, like the first part of the read was like, wow, he's a stinker of an actor. And then it's like, you get into that part, you're like, I am in the room.
Hey, great news. Jimmy Bartel's on the show, and so is Alex Malcolm. So here they are. Here are two of the greatest of great men.
I've had people saying that I've been noncing kids and all sorts. 3-0 to Palace.
Well, a lot of Australians listening and watching this will be very excited because, frankly, we've got a sporting great in the studio with us. So, like in November 2022, this is where I want to start with this. Like it was hard enough for Australian cricket to wrest the attention of punters for a home World Cup. He goes,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And that's because it was footy season in November. You know what, with your trade week and your NAB trade radio. Time trials, fixture release, etc.
Yeah,
The big moments
big
on the
stuff,
calendar.
yeah. Who are we playing next year?
Australia had England, the MCG, but still,
it rained.
Exactly. So given we just figured the logic is like, given there's a World Cup starting next week behind an unfamiliar paywall in May, we figured here that it was important to get the right voice for the right time. So naturally, we've invited triple premiership player, Brownlow medalist, Norm Smith medalist, 2-time All-Australian, a 300 gamer, Jimmy Bartel, onto the grade cricketer, just to give us a sense of the flavour and feeling in the nation. Jimmy Bartel, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. I'm pumped to be here.
I'm tempted to start with Harley Reid stuff, but I won't.
Why not?
Exactly.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, how good could it be?
Yeah, exactly. Is it the best? Is it the best we've seen for a first player?
It's the best 9 games. We're now doing the comparative 9 games and things like that.
And just the running power. It's
It's enormous.
Sam McClure got it wrong, didn't he? Do you think he'll stay?
Yeah, you might want that one back. Some of the ones you just really want back. I think in footy, the start to your career, the answer is always Don Bradman in cricket. So any batting, the answer is Don Bradman. Then we do the minus Don Bradman. Let's have the conversation. The answer in footy is John Coleman. The guy kicked 12 on debut and kicked 100 in his first season. So he just took the piss.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. You've got not just sport pedigree, cricket pedigree, but so you went to the US when you were 10.
Yep.
And then I believe that when you were there, as a family in the US wanted you to stay and have you pursue a high school and college career. Yep. What sports are you playing in the US?
I was playing everything. So I went over. Mum was a teacher, so I got a teaching exchange. So that's how we ended up in Lincoln, Nebraska, and that is dead center in America. That's the Midwest awesome. as it comes. And you play sports. It had a bit of a sort of a Victorian feel, or where you played the summer sports, winter sports, all that stuff. So I played soccer, I played American football before I ever played AFL, played baseball and lots of basketball, and did the athletics. And one of the teachers at the school Mum taught at had a connection with the University of Nebraska, the Cornhuskers, who wear all red. And he saw that I was going really well in all the sports. And he was like, he can stay here. We'll keep him through primary school, high school, and we'll just transition him to a scholarship there into college sports or high school sports and things like that. So,
and you're 10 years old.
I was 10. Yeah, getting scared at 10.
Testing through the roof.
And I was like, oh, this sounds fun. And Mum is absolutely not.
Not
at all. You're coming back home to finish school. So
fucking hell.
And then I came back and started playing footy because I was a bit of a late starter to AFL.
Yeah.
Most kids start 5, 6, with Auskick, but I was 11 when I kicked it off.
Yeah.
So any of those kids at Auskick on the weekend, like my son goes and stuff, they're like, they're wasting their time. frankly.
Yeah.
They do have a NAB bank account, though, so there is that.
It's nice. Well, it's funny.
Are they sponsoring us still? I can't remember. Yeah.
It's funny. My youngest son's just kicked off Auskick, and I've already got Dad's going, oh, is he showing signs of getting there? I go, pardon? Like, just relax.
What is that? Honestly,
just relax.
Can we talk about that?
Parenting,
took my kid to Auskick last week, and you can see the dads there, like, who are just a bit twitchy about it. Dad's getting the ball as well, like just having a kick to each other, and one of them like just like their parents from school, and they're just like, oh, none of our kids seem to have leather poisoning. You know what I mean? But like, Jimmy Bartel standing at Auskick, you must be getting some side glances from parents and stuff, or parents just coming up and having a chat.
Yeah, come up, have a chat about footy, or, oh, you want to take training? You want to show them all the drills? I said, no, it's okay. Just as long as they're having fun and, if they can keep their finger out of their nose for longer than 20 seconds, we're pretty happy. And like most kids, they want to do Auskick to get the killer pythons or whatever after it. Just got to get them.
Do you stand there, though, with your arms folded, like just sort of surveying proceedings, though?
I do it in a polite way where I go stand the other side of the oval by myself.
I'm behind a tree.
I'm very antisocial.
But you play cricket. You play Victorian 17s as well. So when did you start playing cricket? When you came back from the US?
When I came back from the US, I started playing all the weekend sport. Started playing cricket. Absolutely loved it. Like a lot of kids, you play the juniors in the morning, and you meet some great people in the seniors part of the club, and they'd tax you around to play seniors. So you get your 130 overs in on a Saturday, and or whatever it may be. But I was just obsessed with the game. I reckon I spent. My poor neighbours now, actually, once you get older, you realise how good some of your neighbours were. The football sock with the cricket ball in it tied to the rope off the back porch. And you're just spending hours. And, geez, my poor neighbours, you just hear this dunk, hours on end.
But you did play like Vic 17s. That's a legitimate level. That's not like a guy who played footy. He's like, oh, yeah, I've got to hold a bat. Like, you could actually play. I have done a little bit of digging here, actually.
No.
Leading run scorer in Dowling Shield. Dowling Shield, like being the Green Shield equivalent in Victoria, like where they basically picked the Vic 17s from.
Oh, God.
138 and 6 for 23 in a game of Dowling Shield. Who'd you play Dowling Shield for?
Geelong.
Geelong, of course. That would make sense. 158 out of a score of 183.
Get out of here.
Chasing 191.
So he could play.
Well, the
kid
coming
could play.
I'm going
to... just add, what's the extra bit to that? I'll leave that to you just to see what you want to add in.
I'm not a good gloater, but I'm going to gloat on that one because I don't play any cricket. It was I was late to the game, and it was the punishment. I'd normally come in, around the hammock, 4 and 5, where you put the toes up. A very slow-moving character. And I didn't like opening or being 3 because you had to rush off and get the pads on. So anywhere 4 or 5 was nice because you meander off, eat some lunch.
Yep.
But I was late to the game, and as punishment coach, you down the order. He put me in at 7, and it was great. We were 3 for none in the first. Then another one went, and we were 5 for 15, and we were chasing it. And I thought, let's have a go at it. And we fell a few runs short, but I got most of them.
So you made 158 out of 183, so it's a losing side. You've made 158 out of 183, coming in at 7 as well.
I remember having a partnership with the number 10, and he just wore the ball. Okay, you can actually hit it. He goes, I think I've worked out a system how not to get it out.
That's Dowling Shield, hey?
So Dowling Shield. It was so much fun, and it's funny, you play with so many guys who go on to play AFL football in the Dowling Shield. But then the under-17s, I was lucky enough to... I still think I'm lucky enough to play against some guys who went on to play for Australia.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, who'd you come up against or play with?
Mark Cosgrove was something I'd never seen before.
He's a guy.
And I think we all looked at him as under-17s. He's E30. He was built like a brick, could bowl fast. Because people forget, he actually bowled all right when he started. I reckon he might have taken us for 70 or 80 and got 3 or 4 for South Australia. Cal Ferguson and Tim Payne were 2 that stood out. And when you're playing, you just go, oh, we're all sort of pretty good for our age group. And then you just looked at them and go, no, there's something amazing about them. I think Payne got 100 against us as well.
But do you understand that for those guys, their main memory of playing 17s will have been playing with Jimmy Bartel?
I don't think they would have remembered that at all. They were not the bigger and brighter.
Honestly, do you understand like how much like just the hierarchy of Australian sport? Like cricketers froth on AFL. You know, like they. You mentioned all those players, like even Payne, captains the nation. I'm betting he's trading it in for what I just read out about you.
No, I don't think
You're
so.
going to be humble about it. I can see.
We trade a few text messages and things like that, and I still remind people like I got the bowl to Tim Payne. I don't think he's saying, "Oh, Jimmy Bartel bowled to me," but we took him for plenty. Through the covers, I used to smoke him, all that sort of stuff. But those guys, I think you can just tell at underage the guys who just stand out.
What about Finchy? You guys would have been around Geelong the same time, about the same age.
Yeah, he was a bit younger, but I played. We played a game of cricket and used to play the Geelong Football Club versus Geelong Cricket Club, and it all used to be in good spirits until we smoked the cricket club one year, and then they started because we actually had some pretty handy players. So a guy who played football for Geelong, he was in the Australian under-19s, all that sort of stuff. And we've had guys come through, and so our side was actually not bad for a football side. We were a pretty good cricket side, and we rolled them. Then the next year, didn't they stack their side? And Finchy's come in. I'm like, I don't think a ball can be hit that hard. He just absolutely drilled it. The first ball he hit, cover went back 10 metres. Next ball he hit, I think cover went back. And then it just went, just stand on the fence like that. And then he just started sailing them over. He could crush the ball.
Yeah. So you're obviously one of those guys just good at everything. Just good at, like, how many different sports we've spoken about here? 6 or 7 different sports, college, high school, here, there. Like, what are you bad at? Are you bad around the house? You know,
yeah, like, terrible. My missus thinks I stack the dishwasher like a raccoon on meth.
That's very specific.
Yeah. What kind of raccoon?
I love sport and I was obsessed, and like everyone growing up, but I tried to find how things could help and cross over, basketball and all that sort of stuff. So I just couldn't get enough of it. I still can't get enough of sport now. I'll watch anything really, and I'll try and find out ways to beat it or read about it, anything I can get. Yeah.
So like you're playing Vic 17s, you're up against guys who are future Australian players. What is it that just tempted you to make the crossover to footy? Was it the fame? Was it the adulation? The money? The fitness?
I got drafted. Yeah. So like I hadn't. Look, I love playing footy, and but I wasn't one of those kids who went, that's it, I want to play AFL football, because cricket's in the summer and footy's in the winter, and I just kept rolling through. And Geelong Football Club, which I was living in Geelong, lucky enough to be drafted there, and that just sort of put an end to cricket. Really, I was hoping I could keep playing some cricket. I wanted to explore where that'd take me, because cricket is a great sport to travel with. I think, can I get somewhere to play some cricket like you guys? You want to find a game anywhere, but footy drafted me, and all of a sudden I was doing my first pre-season at AFL level, still kept trying to play cricket at local level until I broke my finger, and they went, that was enough. I actually played an AFL game on a Friday night and then played a local cricket final on the Saturday and Sunday. So I was still playing as much as I could, but it was really just football picked me. Very happy that it did. Things worked out okay there, but no, it's just one present itself. And really, so 2001 was drafted. T20 hadn't really kicked off, and it was still pretty limited, your opportunities with cricket. But now, like, the world's your oyster with cricket.
Yeah, now I reckon, because I mean, I think even between here and back home for Pezzanine Sydney, like there's lots of guys that were playing different sports at a high level, but also really good cricketers, and very few people actually choose cricket. And I feel like, maybe not for everyone, but for some might be like, if you're 20, say, and you're being offered $70,000, $80,000 now, like to make that money in cricket back there's not much like progressive. Like it's sort of, you have to get that national contract. I mean, obviously the state contracts, but to make it in cricket with financially, like you basically have to be one of the best in the country, not just in your region, you know?
Yeah, I know it's changed, but we're talking over 20 years ago. I think just the system that footy had set up there, and you touched on it, you got paid, you went straight in, the coaches surrounded you, the development, like just all the other stuff. It's pretty seamless. Where cricket, like where do you move? The spots are limited. Was there a guy already in that position for 7-8 years? I'm going to have to bide my time for 4 and 5 years. The patience you probably didn't have as an 18-year-old. So, but now it's different. There's so many squads and competitions going on. You could make a pretty good living without being right at the top.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
What about Will Parker? From Victoria. A couple of months ago, he's bowling for Victoria against Pakistan, bowling leg spin. like at a international against an international team, and then he debuts for Collingwood last week.
Yeah,
I'm loving that Indians and English people are listening to this.
I don't want to offend the Rugby League, as Pete Volandy says, followers or the union fellas, but I think in Victoria, if you're athletic with cricket, that athleticism can transfer to AFL footy. Like, you can still be pretty lean and built and find your position, or you can be pretty small and quick. You can find your position in footy, whereas that's a bit harder to do to cross over to league or union.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas cricket, once you've sort of got that type of athlete, they tend to be kept in New South Wales, I reckon.
Yeah.
That's just my 2 cents.
No.
Well, do you stand by your recent comments that St Kilda simply cannot have designs on the premiership under Ross Lyon's game plan?
That's very hard hitting. Yes.
I got more.
Yes, I do. All sports have got to evolve. Like, it'd be like saying in cricket, making 220 in a 1 day is going to get the job done.
Would that be the Ross Lyon equivalent? Like, is he playing 1 day cricket from the 90s?
There's a bit of that. It was very successful for him, and he gets the most out of people. And you'll win some games, but you're probably not going to win the big matches. So today's footy, you've got to play front half footy and attack. I'm not going to bore you with it, but they play.
No, please.
They play a game style that suits the way it was played 10 years ago, where you get everyone back in defence and you try and attack from there. It's just too hard to do.
Well, I know in footy we've seen like 666 stands. We're all chopping the arms, like prior opportunity, insufficient intent, medical and tactical subs, tunnelling. The game gets more complex every year.
Yes.
But if like Joel Selwood was able to roll his shoulder and get freeze for 15 years, like why couldn't you or anyone else?
Well, he got himself a grandstand out of it, didn't he? Yeah, I probably should have. I might have got myself the toilet block or something out the back. He was very effective. Jeez, it was tough though. You got to give me his credit.
Oh, no, I do, absolutely. Full credit, Joel. So, do you think the Swans are going to be able to lock down Chad Warner?
You got enough money? Are you a Swans man?
I like every Sydney sider, I'll have a look.
Are you what they traditionally call a theatre goer? Yeah, for the Swans. Thursday, what's on? There's the footy. Go have some Chardonnays.
I got a scarf.
Yeah. I have been to plenty of Swans games and heard fans say, "Do something, Sydney."
Good job, number 12. I bet not. So they get very touchy. They keep telling us that.
I see the 05 prelim still hurts.
It does. The Nick Davis game. Oh, jeez. You had to go there, didn't you?
Okay. You're on the board at GWS. They took on the Cats last week. Tom Hawkins breaks the games record. Mixed emotions or just great result for the Giants?
Great result.
Yeah.
I'm a competitor.
Pack 'em, Hawko.
Yeah, good on him for a big unit like that. You probably don't expect a guy that big to break the games record hold, but I'm a competitor. Everyone asks me, do I go for Geelong or the Giants in those games? I'm linked with the Giants and I want to win. So well done to Hawk, but fuck yeah, Giants.
All right, bit of cricket stuff.
Yep.
So World Cup coming up. Mm-hmm. What do you make of the Australian team? And the non-selection of Jake Fraser-McGurk, for example, and I'll come to some other stuff after that.
Yeah, I'm one of those ones who jumps up and down and wants to see the young, brash talent included, and you always see Australia tend to pack a young kid in the kit bag. Let's roll them out for the net session so then they can overeat at the buffet and do all the rookie mistakes before they actually become the regular, which I always love, but you can't argue the fact that if they win this, they've got every trophy really under the sun. So you got to back the guys in. We always do this every single time. The first game of a tournament, they suck. We go, oh, here it is. We throw our hands up. By the end of the tournament, we're watching highlights of Zampa and all them celebrating in the rooms in great style. So I think they know what they're doing.
Still a bit underrated somehow. In Australia, this team, I reckon, like around the world, the pedigree and the how revered the Australian team is just for continually winning, especially after what they did in the ODI World Cup. But for some reason in Australia, it's still a bit like they've still got to impress me, you know? Do you know what I mean?
I think we have this element with champions in all sport that we go through celebrating them. And they get to a point and we just go, how great is this? And then we go to the next point of where we just pick them apart.
Yeah.
And we look for why are they the flawed geniuses and things like that. And I think we do that with the Australian cricket team, and I think we do it with Mitch Starc in particular.
Yeah.
Like you see that ball the other night. Like I was taking the piss. That was like in the backyard, playing with your mates with a swinging tennis ball and things like that. And he's doing it at elite level, and he keeps delivering it in big tournaments. And I think that happens a bit with the Australian cricket team. They've been so good for so long. We're just looking for the flaws. We just forget about all the elite stuff they do.
I reckon with that ball specifically, like people don't realise how good like the top batters are. And if a top batter like that, Abhishek Sharma's had a great season. He's missed the ball by 30 centimetres. Yeah. Like good players don't miss the ball by 30 centimetres, but he did.
But we normally associate once you get to that sort of speed, the ball stops moving because it just doesn't have time to move.
Yeah, true.
And so like it still does my head in. He's got it at that speed, but that amount of movement with that speed.
Yeah.
Do you get around franchise cricket? Are you sort of purist, old school? Like, how do you see the state of play in cricket at the moment?
I find it difficult to actually get on board with a team. So I tend to just watch for players that I love watching. I haven't got on board the whole, I'm this sort of fan, this team from here. But I'm still a purist as far as I love Test cricket.
You are sick for it though, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm really sick. I'll watch every single ball. Even when I'm sitting there with my missus, for some reason I'll spend half an hour trying to explain context of what this match is. So she's like, that's fantastic. Like, good on you. Like, the West Indies win up at the Gabba, and I'm trying to do you understand what's just happened here? Like, this is good for you. But I'm a sicko for it. But I actually love watching Test cricket outside of Australia. I don't know whether the conditions. I love watching spin bowling, and you get awesome spin bowling in the subcontinent. You love the Test matches in England, of course, and sometimes South Africa have some curious results.
Have you watched the Test, the doco?
Yeah, I keep watching it. I love all that sort of behind the scenes stuff, and you try and relate it to what it was like when I was an AFL player and behind the scenes, and you watch some of those being done in American sports, like the hard knocks sort of stuff, and you go. Just hope people then can sort of see a little bit and translate it to what it was like for us in our playing days.
Sorry, go.
I was going to say, would you have liked that? Like if you were playing, let's say Premiership side, whichever one you played in, like would you have liked that, having the cameras around everywhere? Because I notice even sometimes like even the first episode, like Marnus and Travis Head's talking to Marnus, and they're talking about like, are they going to should they actually go for the win at Edgbaston in that first Ashes Test? And you can see Travis Head like put his mouth over, sort of hand over his mouth to like whisper because he doesn't want to be picked up by the audio. Yeah. That's a little bit like they're in the dressing room, they're trying to watch their team, and it's like it takes it away a little bit, Yeah,
it depends what mood you're in. I think while you're rolling, you're pretty happy with everyone around. When you're struggling a bit, you go, intrusive, get stuff, on my own space. But I think it'd have to be embedded, and I think the people filming it and doing it, which they do a magnificent job, it'd just be building up that trust, really. Going, are they really with us, or are they trying to pick us apart? It's like the old reality TV edit. You don't want to get the bad edit and cut, am I being painted as the villain or whatever it may be. So you'd want a little bit of a say in it.
Is what you've seen from the Australian dressing room through that documentary what you expected? And maybe you would have, as somebody who's spent so many years in pro athlete dressing rooms. I know for non pro athletes it definitely looked less professional, I think, than you expect. It's just blokes with the same emotions that you have at that club cricket, but better kit and genes. Genetics is what I mean. And genes, I guess.
Genes, Levi's.
I was thinking, mind you though, money doesn't always give fashion sense, does it? So some guys still wear terrible kit. No, I think it painted the picture pretty well. It was what I was expected, where you got that team bond and guys genuinely invested in each other and celebrate each other's success. But deep down, it's the individual ownership of how they get up, how do they perform, and how much they ride the highs and lows. So, I think they do a great job of painting that picture.
Did you ever respond to like a good old fashioned spray from the coach?
He was spraysman. Like, do you like a spray?
No, I often copped a spray from my first coach. I think he thought...
And you do have to cop a spray, don't you?
Yeah,
and just receive one.
Just receive one, cop it.
Yeah, I copped some good ones early days. I think probably because I'm a pretty relaxed individual by nature. And I think the coach, you ever heard that saying, kill one to educate 1,000? I think he always thought I was the one. So if I'm giving Jimmy an absolute roast, they're all listening. And I remember... I got sprayed so hard at training by a first coach, a guy called Bomber Thompson. and we're doing a drill and things like that, and he brought everyone in, and he's like, everyone just calm it down. We've got last drill, go 50%. And what he used to do, he used to change the tone of his voice just to catch you off guard. So he start yelling out of nowhere, and you go, oh, like this. So he's brought everyone, come in, pairs, and it's a great training. We're going to go 50% all the time. And but for this last drill, Jimmy, you can go 100% because you've been doing fuck all. And he just went on this tirade of abuse. And I went, and my teammates started to pull their jumpers out. And it's very hard not to laugh when your teammates are laughing, but you're getting a spray. And he goes, what's so funny? I'm like, nothing's funny at all. And he kept spraying me. And then for the next 10 minutes, he chased me around the ground, spraying me while I'm doing this drill. And if you thought it was over once I finished training, I got in the car and my phone rang and it was him. And he just wanted to give me another 5-minute burst. I go, he's not giving me a script. Are you kidding? Put the phone down like that. I got home. He rang again. And I go, I thought he was going to go, look, the old patch up. He goes, what are you doing later on? Oh. And I go, not much. Just going to go to the movies with a few of the boys. He goes, no, you should stay at home because you've been fucking useless. My God.
Can't escape it.
Now post-training, he's still giving it to me. So, no, he could give some withering sprays.
Have you seen some good ones on YouTube? Like the one in my head is like it's like shepherd bush magpies or some shit, and the guy's talking about like he's just seen an Olympics race.
You know the lady who couldn't walk and run
or some shit. Yeah. She finished dead last, but fair fucks to her.
I've actually watched a lot of those. They're great, but I don't know how you don't laugh in those moments. Like the awkward. But we worked out. When we got the new auditorium at Geelong Footy Club, they've been doing redevelopment, and people know that Geelong's very good at getting local money out of building their stadium, which gets people a little bit shirty. But we had this new auditorium, and they had all the downlights, so everyone has the same seats as you do in meetings. And we worked out that if you just push the downlights up a little bit, you were actually seeing in darkness, and the coach just didn't realise you were there. So three of us used to sit there so we wouldn't cop the spray, because as soon as the coach locks eyes on you, you're the one copping it. So we just sat up in the back corner in the dark for most meetings.
There seems to be like such a great tradition of sprays, like in Aussie rules. Like was Bomber the best exponent for you?
Yeah, he was the best. He was still a bit more old school. Now it's all about emotional intelligence and care and connection and things like that. And so coaches tend to be a bit more huggy.
What do you think about that? Like, how do you feel? I
think it's good. I think picking which guys need the stick and which guys need the carrot. I think they're a bit better at that, and they delegate now to all the assistant coaches. But I sort of came through that era where the coaches were still like, I'm going to get you on the phone and let you know how useless of a human being you are, but can you go back out and be better, sort of stuff. I got a good mix.
I actually think that's a theme in the Australian cricket team as well, particularly watching the test. Like, you can see how Cummins as a leader, really bases his style on that word calm. He says calm, relentless and fun. I think that Australian teams had their own, like we talk about Bazball and the way they play and whatever, and that's been the revolution. But I think for anyone who grew up playing cricket in Australia or played around professionals as a kid, that's been a little quiet revolution in the Australian side as well, because like the Australian cricket team has essentially been based on like hostility and intensity for decades, and that's how we're known overseas and stuff. And the Australian team is like, particularly under Ronnie as well, big Cats man, I think, is it's like they're deliberately and overtly opposite to that. Like they've had enough of the spray culture. They're actually like bizarrely relaxed.
Yeah, I think there's still room for the hard conversations. It's more the delivery in doing it. And when I listen to the commentary, and it fluctuates between, he's got to be harder, he's got to be more aggressive. To, why would you be so aggressive then? I know we've got 6-8 hours of content to fill, and the ball's going around, back to the bowler. But I think the captain is pretty in tune with his bowlers, and that they're probably the only ones where you need to know, who am I pushing a bit harder and who am I backing off. And if Hazelwood's got the ball and there's 2 overs to go until lunch, he's played enough cricket. Surely you've built that trust. So I don't know the reason why you need to spray him or, get that, come on, mate, put the foot down and things like. If Hazelwood doesn't know, look, I need to push here pretty hard for 2 overs before lunch. Well, is he really the guy anyway?
But still, I think there's a couple of guys in the Aussie side who, because isn't it Stewie Dew who was involved in the Aussie?
That's right. Yeah,
See, I reckon there'd be a couple of ex or guys who wish they'd made it in footy who settled to play in the Australian Test team, who would just who would love just to have an Aussie rules guy just fucking bake them, just spray every just for the experience of it. You know
I don't know how
you
you'd go though. Can you imagine when you're about to go out to bat and you just copped an absolute roasting? You go,
You'd be so rattled.
Geez, your feet would be like concrete. I'm useless. I'm useless. Yeah.
Who do you reckon invented the bum tap? Was it cricket or footy players? I think started in cricket. Like Ricky Ponting for me was the first one to see do it, and then in footy, it's just gone to a new level.
Yeah, I think cricket owns the hair ruffle.
Hair ruffle.
Yeah, I reckon cricket owns the hair ruffle. Yeah. Footy, I reckon it came from the league and union boys.
Okay.
Packing scrums and stuff. You want to get pretty familiar with each other when you're jamming heads near backside sort of stuff. I think footy's more the high five, Okay. Yeah, after the goal sort of stuff. Cricket sort of then taking the high five from there.
Some of the hair ruffles you see in celebrations of cricket, it's getting quite aggressive.
Yeah, very aggressive. And you can tell the guys who don't like it because maybe they got the mosh or the hair plugs or the rug in there and they're a bit sensitive.
Just a little tender.
Oh, hang on, I've just had that done. I've had the done.
I've just been a turkey,
Speaking of the way things happen at professional level, did you catch Brandon Jack's piece about GWS? Brandon Jack, Kieran Jack's brother, he wrote a long piece about the social media team at GWS, and it's a really compelling read. But he has this little section where he talks about training at GWS, and he's like, so Brandon Jack, former Swans player, sort of 20 odd games or something, says, here's what happens. A player standing by a coloured cone will take several very, very small steps away from the aforementioned cone while stretching out their arms with their palms facing away and calling for the ball using the nickname of whatever teammate is who has the ball. The nicknamed teammate will then kick the ball in that same direction, etc., etc., and at least 2 other players will comment on the success of the kick in finding its target, as the player who has kicked the ball then runs in a very nearly annoyingly perfect straight line to the next cone, at which point they break into a sort of half jog, half walk type shuffle and take a sip of water from one of the trainers who always offers up the drinks in the exact same way. The now hydrated player then pats between 2 to 4 players on the lower back and waits to return to the front of the line.
That's footy.
That's actually a great description. It's an odd sport, footy. I had it explained. I had some friends overseas, and the things that they couldn't get their head around is, right, so you think you're a manly, tough sport, but you wear the shorter shorts, you got sleeveless jumpers, you run through a crepe paper banner, and then you pat each other on the bum, as you said, and ruffle hair. And then you go off and then you get in a circle and sing a real sort of upbeat Christmas carol to finish off the song.
Sort of ragtime style song as well. That's right. I like it.
What a strange sport you got here.
Do you think, I'm maybe getting a bit too solemn or earnest here, but I actually think that's a great part of Aussie rules. And I wonder if, we can laugh here as non-natives to Victoria about the fact that it's not global and that kind of thing. But I wonder if that's part of its strength in that, because it's not subject to entertainment, global entertainment principles, it still retains all of these traditions dating back that everybody loves and respects, the stuff that you just mentioned, it actually connects it to the past. Whereas in cricket, for example, futurists will tell you that all the money will be in T10 cricket. T20 goes for too long now. So even if you grew up with long form, the game is being, it's just being rationalised into the perfect TV show and TikTok clip, but Aussie rules is somewhat might be insulated from that because it's a game we play in one country.
Yeah, I think that's a balance for all sports and to use Aussie rules. But you mentioned cricket, but all sports are battling that. How can we keep the words, the fabric of whatever game we've got, but still progress it to attract eyeballs and dollars? And, how can we make it entertaining for TV? And you constantly hear sports, we're in the entertainment business, or we're in the sports business, or whichever way you want to do it.
Whatever argument you're trying to run.
But still keep tradition.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult, and that's the balance at the moment. And it's such a balance here in Australia, and because we are so sports. What are we, about 27 million people? But we've got 18 AFL teams. Now we've got women's teams, league, union, cricket franchises, and we haven't even touched on Olympic athletes, individual athletes, plus then the tier below. So we're so crammed. So everyone's trying to, how can we catch eyeballs but still make it look like what everyone used to love but get all the new ones as well?
How do you think Aussie rules goes with that? I mean, to my mind, it is almost a monopoly. It's clearly the number one sport in the nation. It's too big to fail. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too big to fail. That they have done better than the other football codes in capturing the whole entire country. It's an easy game. It's a complicated game, but it does take all body sizes and shapes.
Yeah.
So the big idiot at school can be the ruckman. The quick little kid can be the forward pocket or back pocket. So I think that's the advantage it has. It's a ball, just one ball. You don't need a lot of equipment, to go kick in the yard, and it's pretty easy to pick up, even though the rules are getting complicated for some. But I think they do it well. That the Auskick programs, they get kids from 5 all the way up. So I think they do it really well in that space, and it's almost become, everyone can have another sport, but they've got AFL. Like even though if you're a league fan, you still watch a bit of AFL, whereas I don't think as many AFL people watch league. And
I mean, it's definite. The people down here call it rugby. Rugby's a different sport. Yeah. Yeah, that's.
But they both can coexist. Everyone loves fighting, league and AFL. You've got to have one or the other. They both can coexist.
What about if instead of 4 quarters, 1 quarter?
One big quarter or one short quarter?
No, just 20 minutes.
Yeah.
We were also discussing for the 100-metre final in the Olympics, 60 metres. Just shorten it. It goes for too long. 100 metres goes for too long.
As well.
So now you're getting right into my brain where I love to go off into space. Is I think you can merge some Olympic sports.
Okay, now we're talking.
Yeah, so the equestrian, it's kind of cool. It's different. But I think you can merge the equestrian with archery. So you have a real Robin Hood scenario.
Now we're talking.
Now we've got a team
that medieval stuff.
Yeah, so the Australian team, and you've got paintball tips on the end of your arrows.
Yeah, I'm watching this.
And so now you've got a cross-country circuit. So the Australian team goes first, and they're up against Great Britain. Of course, they're old rivals. We've been battling since day dot. So Great Britain's got to stagger throughout the course their archers. And every time they hit someone on horseback, they're 5-second penalties. So your team that gets through the quickest, deduct the penalties.
It's like dodgeball, but with archery and equestrian.
Yes, yeah.
And people have to dress up like a centaur, so half man, half horse.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. That'd be another layer I hadn't considered, but they'll go to
Would
the
you
board.
do a dressage before that as well?
Yeah,
just sort of prance around
with some show jumping?
Well, the dressage is your presentation to the fans.
Yes.
Yeah, so style points.
Yep.
Interesting. Yep. I was hoping to talk about like the future of different sports economically in the nation, but it sounds like we're talking merged Olympic sports.
Can I throw my cricket rules in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of the World Championship, I love it. But we spend a lot of time on every time we go overseas about the wickets. India's doctored the wickets. They're raging turnovers.
Not us, but yeah.
No, we just put bouncy wickets where we torture souls at the Gabba every time they come out.
Yeah.
Take the toss away. Home team, the away team selects.
Yep.
And away you go. Yep. But what you want to do is encourage curators to just create something. And when they rate the pitch. If you just create something magical, you get a half a bonus point to the World Championship. And then you can have test innings of the year.
Yeah.
And test batting innings and bowling innings of the year. So if you make 100 on something that turns sideways in India, that's extraordinary. Everyone was all out for 2s and 1s, and
I think that's got merit. Yep.
But I still think you should let the away team pick.
Yeah, but I think Ricky Ponting's a fan of that one as well.
And three umpires.
Yeah.
So you rotate an umpire every 20 overs. Because the umpires are the only ones who stand out in the middle the whole entire time.
Yeah.
And actually then get back to encouraging them to make decisions. At the moment, they're glorified hat holders.
It's been some big... Joel Wilson's made a few decisions.
He's made a couple of decisions,
Yeah.
But I like it. It's
Do you think that way about Aussie rules as well? Like, do you think there's some evolutions to the game, or do you think Aussie rules has achieved the apex?
It'll never happen. But everyone goes, you always change the rules. I'd love a round in the middle of the season where it's retro round, and you go back to all the old rules. And let's see if we really like it. Like, did we really like it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you suspect
That's
the answer
good.
is?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be great if there was a tennis tournament where everyone had to play with a wooden racket.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Golf, they all actually had to have woods.
Yeah.
And a one iron, which was like
cricketers
a
with
butter
bats.
knife
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
shatter your hands.
Yeah. Cricketers with a bat. Yeah, from like 1970. Like Bradman's bat.
Yeah. And those gloves. Like,
Oh, yeah, little
Gardening
sausage
gloves.
The gardening
Yeah,
gloves
yeah,
with
yeah.
gloves on top.
Yeah. When when Australia had like the team, like Steve Waugh, Ricky Ponting, like the best team, and like the conversation in Australia at the time was like, oh, I'm a bit bored, wouldn't mind some competition. Like I'm just thinking about like with these rule changes, like let's say like because the Ashes are in 2 summers time, India coming out this summer, like. Do we really want to change it so maybe the away team gets a bit of an advantage here or levels a playing field? Like what I'm saying is like, do you want complete domination from Australia at all times, or are you a competition guy?
No, I'm anti-competition with Australia involved. I love seeing
same.
pillagings and I
Yes.
love every
Can't
time.
get enough of it.
Can't get enough of pillaging.
Some of my favourite moments is when a captain is sacked at the end of a tour of Australia.
Yeah. Who can we retire?
And guys basically
Yeah.
retire.
Yeah.
Probably a way to do it is any test series that is under 4 tests is the away team picks.
Yeah, okay.
Because you know those
Yeah.
test series where it's they come out for 2 tests.
Yeah, and it's a bit shit.
Well, they
yeah.
lose the toss and then they're playing at the Gabba. Well, it's over.
Yeah.
And because, you can draw a test series and you retain whatever trophy we're playing for.
Right.
So those sort of 2 and 3 test series, away team gets to pick. The bigger ones like India where we're playing 4 and 5, I'll allow you to have your old ancient rules.
Okay, yeah.
Are there any other people in footy as sick for cricket as you, or are you up the top, your top echelon?
I'd have to be near the top echelon. But plenty of guys that love their cricket because it was always the thing. You play cricket and footy. Luke Hodge, absolute legend of the game. He and I played in the same cricket team. He could seriously bowl some heat.
Right.
Like,
Lloydie, he plays as well, doesn't he?
yeah, Lloydie's pretty. And he's still playing some local cricket finals and things like that. I watched his local cricket final on the feed and things like that.
What on Frogbox?
Yeah.
You are sick for it.
You are sick.
We gave it to him when he absolutely burnt his teammate. yes, no, what's happening? No, but he's sick for it. But no, I just can't get enough of it, especially Test cricket.
Yeah.
Do you, like it must be the case though that like you have more cricketers coming to froth on you than the reverse.
Oh God, yeah.
Like you got it. Like cricketers. I mean, it goes all the way back. Like I mean, like cricket was a fallback for Warney.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fallback for Alex Carey.
Yep.
pretty good fallback plans, aren't they?
Pretty good.
Yeah. A lot of the Vic boys like can't believe that Will Sutherland's still playing cricket.
Yeah, he could be a very special player. I remember cooking barbecues for Will Sutherland and his sister.
Yeah.
'Cause-
They sit there in the Vic sheds. They get the cricket team and they make an 18 out of them, and like they put him in halfback and forward flank and that kind of thing.
Well, I remember going to the World Cup.
Did you do that with cricket players? Sorry.
No. Well, I remember going to the World Cup and I got a bit of football and cricket perspective by the late, great Dean Jones. I was in a box watching the World Cup final. You know, Starkey rips McCullum's stump early and place explodes. They go on to win it and I'm like, oh, how good's this? Dean Jones walks in the box and the first thing he goes, how about that, Jimmy? Your premierships aren't worth shit compared to that.
Doesn't sound like something he'd say.
Last time I saw you, it was the Dean Jones squad at the Junction Oval, and you'll give me a spray then. So we're about 15 years down the track. Down there. Yeah, he gave us all a withering spray at the Junction Oval.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't tell him how many shields the Vicks had won. He was flat with us on that.
Were you the one who was bowling at him when they bowled on his pads and he said, "Don't you watch TV?"
That we, as kids, you know when you play cricket, the road cricket, and you yell out "car," and you move the stumps back on.
Yeah.
We used to go in and watch the Dean Jones DVD all the time and just laugh our heads off. And it became just the catch line. Whenever you play one off the pads, we're at the team meeting. So bowl on Dino's pads. And it used to just be our catch line. DeFreitas, he just kept bowling on my pads. Were you at the team meeting?
So would you say that you prefer cricket? Like you wanted to play cricket for Australia more than a career in AFL?
Yeah. 100%.
But then, like, look what you've done with your life and then the game. Like, it's
Life.
okay. Well, the game.
The game.
Sort out the fucking dishwasher, okay?
No, and I've told plenty of people in footy this, and it's not a secret. Cricket is my number one passion. I just love the game. I've got hundreds of cricket books. Mum used to walk around, on the weekend, and there'd be garage sales, and everyone's always getting rid of the books in the garage, and Mum would just pick them all up, and I've got all those Max Walker books, and things like that. The Steve Waugh Ashes diaries. I've got hundreds of them still.
That's awesome.
At home. There's 400 different versions of Don Bradman's life. I reckon I've got. Like any good person, you've got a cricket ball on the desk that you're throwing up and down, and you start looking, there's an outswinger and things like that. So, cricket is my number one. You start, I hear that flipper coming out. The desk
snap of the wrist.
I just noticed this, like when you were just doing the seam up, you did that with your left hand, and then you've just done the flipper with your right hand. Don't tell me you bowl with both hands. Yeah,
you always tried, because remember. Because do you remember Michael Bevan got a 10-wicket haul at the Adelaide Oval? And we go, what have we discovered here? We've got a great all-rounder. So in the backyard, you start Michael Bevan, but you started to look more like Paul Adams.
That's right. You look like a wronger.
You're trying to flick him out the back like that, and then, the hoggy with the tongue out the side. So you kept trying to bowl wrong'uns with the left.
What do we have to trade in? For how many test matches are we looking at to trade in for your AFL career? If I gave you 20 tests?
That's 100. That's 100.
No, but I'm saying because for cricket, so like it's not one test. Like I couldn't give you one test and you'd be happy compared to what you do
I'm not
in footy.
One test.
No. And what do you need to achieve?
I've been having this raging debate with some people on one of the footy shows I work with, and they've been trying to compare my playing career AFL to a test cricket career, and some of the suggestions like, get fucked, I'm better than him.
That's basically what we're asking. What's your cricket equivalent?
I'd want the Stewie McGill career without the off-field.
Fair enough.
Yeah, like 200 test wickets. I don't want to be. I'm not the main guy, but geez, I could come in and be the second fiddle.
That's cool.
I think you've done 50 tests. 50 tests, 200, 202, 208 wickets. Yeah.
I think what you've done is definitely 100 tests.
Yeah, I think it's 100 tests. Yeah.
But you don't want to be poor like Kasperwich, who gets packed to the subcontinent, ran into the dirt, and then they're like, you're running into the dirt, we can't play at home.
Yeah. I reckon like Damien Martin for you. Damien Martin level of career.
He was...
done better than Marto?
He was one of my favourite players.
And it's one of the best highlight reels of all time.
And he still didn't... It's funny, recently the September Club, which is the big corporate piss-up outside the grand final, he was in the September Club this year.
Oh, yeah?
And a guy in the AFL, Patrick Keane, the media guy, knew how much I loved Damien Martin because we'd talk cricket.
He's an ex-cricket guy, Patrick.
And Damien Martin come in and he go, you're one of my favourite players. He didn't believe me. Okay. I love just wasting time watching you just lace the ball through 7 gullies and 2 backward points. They put another one in there, goes, I reckon I can get it through. I just used to love watching him lean on the ball.
Well, you mentioned Bradman before. It's the last one from me. You obviously got association with GWS. We've been talking about this top of the show, but his the house that he lived in for 11 years from age 3 to, what would that be, 14, is up for sale in Bowral. And it's been restored to the original Bradman experience from 1911, even with the tank. So perhaps it's an investment for GWS, or it's going on auction, or maybe Jimmy Bartel, if you love it that much. Like imagine living in Bradman's house.
Well, I would have had to probably win Powerball recently, 150 million. Bowral's become a bit of a rich person's weekend getaway.
They say 1.6,
So it'd be pretty pricey. Maybe you guys could move the grey cricket, and then it's a tax write-off.
I got to say, it'd be pretty funny to make that the studio.
Yeah,
nice.
A bit out of the way.
Yeah, that's right. I'll have to tell my wife. I'm just saying, this experience of living in Bradman's house would be funny. I think on a couple of levels. But
would you go straight to the tank?
Yeah, you'd have to.
Yeah, see,
I tried that as a kid. As soon as I knew the tank thing, I got the stump out, the golf ball.
Yeah.
And tried to keep hitting it against the wall.
Yeah.
It's madness.
Seeing footage of Bradman doing it is full on.
The hardest bit to that is actually getting started. Like once you've got the ball going, you can get a bit of a rhythm. But the whole
it takes a certain type of brain, I think, to keep going with that.
Yeah,
you got to be a bit nuts, I reckon.
Yep.
Anyway, okay, so Jimmy Bartel might buy that house. Jimmy, thanks so much for joining us, mate. Love the chat. Love to chat with you again and get your take on cricket. You've obviously got a very precocious mind, when it comes to what's going on in the game.
Yeah, I don't mind messing with the rules, but keep it nice and traditional as well.
Thanks so much, mate.
Thanks, guys.
Cricket Info's Alex Malcolm are here to satiate the desires of the viewers, the listeners for actual cricket ahead of the World Cup. Alex, welcome back to the show.
Great to be back. I did cover footy for 4 years and covered Ross Lyon, so I'm happy to dip into that. Happy to dip into that chat if you want.
I bet you did, mate.
It's been a while though, and I'm glad to be out of it. I must admit.
So Harley Reid, that was the best 9 games I've seen. World Cup starts in less than a week. Alex, I know you've been. We'll start with the Aussies. You've been covering the Aussies. The main conversation has been around selections. I know this happened a couple of weeks ago, but we've just brought the pod back. So, main takeaway from the selections, and as Roy and HG have suggested, should George Bailey's head be on a spike for failing to include Wunderkind, Jake Fraser-McGurk in the real squad, not the come along in the kit bag for a drink?
I think there'd be plenty who'd want it on a spike. It'd be a bit harsh on George. It was as expected.
Having overseen every trophy.
That's right.
In the cabinet.
It's never enough, though, is it, in Australian cricket? And
Nope.
There's always the new plaything that needs to be injected into the team.
Oh, yeah.
I can understand why they landed that way. I'm sure you guys would agree if we were sitting in that room, if they were ever stupid enough to let idiots like us sit in a room like that and make key decisions like that, you'd land in a similar place, I think. I can hear. I'm happy to hear any arguments on actually having Fraser-McGurk in the best 11. I'm actually open to it. The idea of Head and Fraser-McGurk opening the batting would put the fear of God through a few opposition teams.
For who?
That's the key part. And that's
always issues with selections.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think there's been a lack of real intelligent debate around who could actually come out in place of Fraser-McGurk. And it's been laid out pretty clearly by Andrew McDonald when he's done his public utterances on it last week. The lack of room in a 15-man squad across a 7-game tournament when they've got flights and things to manage. They want to play several different styles of game over there. They want to be able to play 2 spinners if they get the chance. They actually want to be able to play 8 batters if they get the chance, which I think they will trial in the group stage at some point. And so when you start to look at the combinations they've got and you know that you've only got 4 players outside of your 11 that you can fit in your 15 and then interchange. If you take a player out at some stage, you can't bring them back in terms of replacing them in the squad. So you need flexibility amongst those guys, and unfortunately carrying another specialist top order bat doesn't really work. So the only possible person you could replace is David Warner, and I'm just not sure you do it for... I know Delhi did it, and he had issues with his hand, obviously, during the tournament, and then was struggling with his form. But big tournament, conditions are going to be vastly different to India. The ball's going to spin. I think Australia's going to be severely tested by spin throughout the tournament. Warner is a left-hander, excellent hitter of spin, excellent player of those conditions, player of the tournament a couple of years ago. It'd be a big risk not to take him. So... yeah, it's a really tough one. I think they landed with the squad that makes the most sense and gives them the most flexibility.
I reckon out of any tournament, like the contrast, because obviously the IPL was just finished and some of the scores have just been eye-watering. And then the contrast to that of what the Caribbean is supposed to be like. Obviously there's games in the US, but for the majority part of the tournament it's going to be in the Caribbean. Like... just to talk around like how shit some of these shit tips are going to be in the Caribbean. It's almost like so disrespectful. It's like I am a loser, and so I looked up the scores of the CPL in August. Or cut that out, Charlie. And there's like hardly a score over 180. They're mostly between like 140 and 170, and that's just that's a different tournament to what the IPL is, of course, with the impact sub rule as well. So, just like how bad are these decks going to be? Like, do we know? Like, and I didn't realize it spun so much, but like every team's taking 2-3 spinners. Like, is it really going to like rag? Is that what we're expecting?
That's what all the teams are expecting. If you actually go back to...
all the squads have loaded up on spin more than you ordinarily would for 15 as well. I mean,
absolutely.
India's got 4.
Well, Australia didn't take a second specialist spinner to India for the ODI World Cup.
Yeah.
They expected flat tracks, and that's what they got.
Yeah.
True.
And yet, they, from a long way out, they were planning to take a second spinner in the 15 to this World Cup. And they have the COVID 2021 tour that they went on firmly in the front of their mind. Those wickets spun prodigiously.
Famous 21 tour, yeah.
That's right, yeah. And Australia lost 4-1 in that series. But also, late last year, England sent a team to the West Indies just after the ODI World Cup, and they got spun out by Akil Hussain and Gudakesh Moti, the two left-arm orthodox for the West Indies. They had a field day in that series. I think one of them took like 4 for 9 in a game or something from 24 balls or something like that. Wow. So there can be a wide range of surfaces, but there is an anticipation that, and I've heard of at least 3 teams who are thinking that there could be scores of 250 plus on certain surfaces, and that teams want the flexibility and the ability to maybe set the tone and go nuts in a game like that, but also be able to react. If they turn up to a surface and go, this is going to rag square from ball 1, we want to load up with 12 overs of spin in our 20.
That's exciting. My understanding as well is that, so the thing you've got to understand about the West Indies, it's a series of nations across, and it's not actually one nation.
Where is it? Point on a map.
But some of the grounds are hard and fast, and some are shit tip low raggers.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that there's this other factor where due to the degradation of West Indies international cricket, there's probably not a lot of IP, knocking around international cricket for what happens in the West Indies. I know a couple of the guys go to the CPL. Warner's gone to the CPL before, another reason to go with him. But it seems to me that because there's going to be such a wide variety of decks, squads with flexibility rather than specialists have been the order of the day. And that's hurt Jake Fraser-McGurk as well, even as as one of the travelling party. He is a pure top order bat. There is no suggestion that he can bat in the middle order or face spin or anything like that. So you're just saying, does he usurp David Warner? It's only 2 tournaments ago. Warner's the player of the tournament. Low raggers, hitting left arm orthodox spin. He's got experience there. Yeah, it's completely different to Test cricket, which he's obviously retired from. You're probably not dropping it as much as people think that he's a questionable bloke. Not me, but it's part of the zeitgeist in Australia. It's also it speaks to our the level of intellect and literacy around T20 cricket as well. No one wants to listen to what you've just said. I mean respectfully around flexibility.
Right. Yeah.
What about his missus on the radio though?
That's right. Why don't we just play him as a floater? Sort of, he can go. Yeah, but it's getting so specialised in terms of data and things like that. Cameron Green being able to bowl and bat and cover the top order if there's a problem, and the fact that Josh Inglis is a keeper and. You can't fly somebody into the Windies if there's a problem. These are all the reasons why he just couldn't take the pure swing bombsman of Jake Fraser-McGurk in the 15, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But if you did, you play the scenario out. If you did, and if you took Warner as well, for example, which is what a lot of people were arguing, and the arguments were we don't need Green or potentially only need one wicketkeeper, or you could sit the wicketkeeper out of the 15 as the travelling reserve, which
there's a problem.
There is an argument you could do that.
But that would to get that reserve in, sorry to interrupt, to get the but I'll keep going, the reserve in, that has to be green lit by a technical committee, right, who judges that they're out of the tournament. Right?
Gone from the tournament, can't play again.
Yeah, so even if you carry him as a reserve to game it, it needs that keeper, the first choice keeper, we'll come on to that in a second, to suffer an injury for the whole tournament. So that's pretty low likelihood, right?
Yeah, well, that's the gamble. What if he's got a back spasm on the morning but might be okay for the next game?
And the technical committee has to figure out how injured he is.
Yeah. So they're all the things that they need to factor in. And in Green's case, especially when you think about Marsh having a hamstring injury, he's probably not going to bowl early in the tournament. There is a concern on him bowling full stop anyway. Stoinis missed 3 games in the ODI World Cup last year with niggles, came out, came back in, and then eventually got dropped when he was fit on balance for the semi-final. But he's had injury issues through big tournaments. He got managed really well through the IPL, but didn't actually bowl that much, which was a real surprise at LSG, but batted well. So when you factor in those 2 guys having those issues, you're going to have to take a pace bowling all-rounder if one of those guys needs a rest at some point. There's a period in the tournament during the Super 8s where they're play, fly, 3 or 4 days in a row.
This is far too sensible.
Yeah.
I just want the bombsman.
Yeah, but
It's
anyway.
a big ball.
Wow!
He took Boomer down. Go on.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it. I saw the highlights.
Sandpaper.
Coming back to your original point, though, if you took Fraser McGurk and Warner and you pulled the trigger on Warner for whatever reason early in the tournament, then you've just got him sitting twiddling his thumbs for the rest of the tournament. It just doesn't work. So it's a tough one. There's a few ways you could cut it up, but eventually I think everyone would come back to the same point.
I also just cannot figure out who's good and who's good where. And mate, it's the finest of fine margins. Also, the first part of the tournament is genuinely a waste of time, except for one group of death. But every group essentially has 2 top teams. They'll go through. You don't even need to win the group against Australia.
They're pre-seeded. It's not even finishing top or second.
So Australia's game against England in the
group.
group stage doesn't matter unless then you lose another game against Scotland or whatever, which of course can happen. But probably unlikely. So and then you get to the Super 8s, and then those games are already sorted out. So then it's just get yourself to a semi like Australia always does, and then it's who's going to win that? I don't know. Is that too?
No, that's
defeatist?
right. I'm not sure a lot of people realise, and we've had to check over this, and I'm also aware that the teams themselves have actually had to check over this in the lead-up.
There's another World Cup on 3 in 4 years.
Footy's on.
So basically, for those listening or watching who aren't aware, and it'll take you a little bit to go and search this out because the ICC haven't exactly made this abundantly clear.
Right.
But yes, the pre-tournament seedings are set. So regardless of what happens in the group, provided the top teams in the groups go through, the Super 8s are set. Australia are already set to play Sri Lanka, New Zealand and India in the Super 8s. In that order, at specific venues, unless one of those 3 teams or Australia themselves happen to lose 2 games in their group phase, in which case whoever beats them will just take their place regardless of seeding. So if Australia beat England and win all of their group matches really well, they actually don't become B1 in the way that the tournament unfolds from there. They remain as B2. Well, it's just to lock in where India plays. And so everyone knows where they are. India already knows which semi-final they will play in.
I just found it amazing that when they dip the hand into the old balls there to pull out the teams, India was in the same group as Pakistan. They were playing in New York. I just found it's amazing.
Incredible.
Yeah. So India knows the semi that it's playing.
For the next World Cup he's talking about, I think, as well.
Which is why Kuldeep wasn't bowling to Tristan Stubbs in the Delhi nets.
Okay,
who else? Look, I just want to say on that point, by the way, it's funny to be cynical about it. I've heard that one of the explanations for that was for travelling fans, and that it's actually quite hard to travel around the West Indies in flights, etc. So it gives fans some kind of surety around where their team is going to be.
Fair enough.
It's good.
Yeah,
that's good to put that forward. So if you're against this, you're against fans and people.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
He doesn't like people.
What's your choice? Oh, they like people. Well,
I've been revealed.
Confirmed suspicions. Who? I mean, is it possible to like anyone for the World Cup? I feel like the format, maybe it's just watching a lot of IPL at the moment, but the format is such that you can have heaps of form, and if the conditions aren't right and someone puts together a couple of good overs, see you later. Test cricket's great because over 5 days there's really nowhere to hide unless it's rain. But in T20 cricket, you can actually hide and win. Like, one or two guys can get it done. Maybe that's part of the charm of it. I don't know. But against that backdrop, like, you know, who do you like?
Yeah, again, you can pull balls out of a box, and you wouldn't know who's going to win. As you say, league play is different because it's 14 games, so it's bigger sample size. And what we've seen in the IPL, what we've seen, Matt Roller actually retweeted a great piece he wrote during the IPL about bowling strike rates has been the key indicator for winning teams in franchise cricket over the last couple of years, basically. I think
not averages or aggregate runs or anything. In fact, they go the other way, right?
Strike rate, so wicket-taking ability. So KKR led this bowling strike rates this IPL just gone, striking once every 14 balls. So basically you're taking 2 wickets in the power play on average, knocking teams over, setting teams back. They can't keep going if you take wickets. If you
And that was when Stark wasn't taking wickets either.
Correct, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Imagine if he did.
That's an indicator, but as you say, in such a short compact tournament, you get it wrong on one day with the bat. Doesn't matter how well you bowl. So in the Super 8s phase, you only need to get it wrong basically twice, and you miss a semi-final. Or you get sent in on a ragger, or it's a 10:30 a.m. game, and the ball's hooping around corners, and
people haven't picked up on that yet either. So like India-Pakistan in New York, because of presumably, like India primetime TV rather than, a commitment to club cricket, it's a 10:30 a.m. local time start.
Yeah.
Just what about Shaheen with a new rock at 10:30 on an unused ground?
Yeah.
Results.
Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. So, yeah, I mean, you could make a case for any of the teams. Australia look really well balanced, lots of options. England have a lot of power. I think if we come back to bowling strike rates, I think that's probably their weak point.
England?
Yeah. Right? I'm not sure how they're going to strike with the new ball in the power play.
Joffre, you can play.
Potentially if he's fit. Yeah. That's obviously that's the big unknown, isn't it? If he's there, well, and firing, well, that's a different story.
Yeah.
I think West Indies is going to be really dangerous.
So do I.
Yeah, I think, having spoken to a few people in the know, they're very wary of West Indies. What West Indies did in Australia, I think, went largely unnoticed. They made 200 in every game. Jason Holder was batting at 10. They have so much depth.
He's out now, isn't he? Did I hear that this morning? Yeah.
Oh, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, he was anyway. I mean, they've got so much depth, and if their spinners are back in the game, Akil Hussain had a tough tour, obviously bowling at Hobart, Adelaide and Perth didn't suit him very well, but get him on those surfaces in the West Indies, he can have a big say. India obviously spin heavy, whether they've got so much talent. South Africa could be really dangerous. They've got so much power in that middle order, and good spinners in Maharaj and Shamsi. The question will be their new ball bowling with Kutsia and Rabada and Norkia. Norkia was obviously super expensive in the IPL. There's plenty of teams that could do a lot of damage. It could just, as you say, it will come down to the day and who's feeling it and who's not, and whether a throbber turns up.
Just in terms of going back to the wicket keepers for Australia, is it Wade? Is it just simple as that?
My understanding is he is the preferred option. The way they like to structure that middle order up, they feel like the experience that group has built with Maxwell at 4, Stoinis at 5, David at 6, Wade at 7, finishing as a power hitter of pace at the death. He's got a lot of experience in that role, and having a left-hander there is helpful.
Yep.
You could make a very, very strong case that Inglis should be in front of him, and you could rejig the order. So if you're worried about if Australia's going to get to the Super 8s phase, and they are going to be challenged by spin, they know this. So they're going to face Sri Lanka first up. They'll get Hasaranga, the leg spinner, Tikshana, Dhananjaya bowls off spin, and Walalage, the left arm ortho.
Oh yeah,
they've actually got an ambidextrous finger spinner, Kamindu Mendez, who can go left arm ortho and right arm off spin.
Yeah.
So if you're Sri Lanka, you're throwing everything spin at Australia, then there is certainly a case that Inglis could come in, bat at 4 potentially or 5. You interchange him and Maxwell, and that just pushes the order down a little bit, and Wade comes out. That is one option, or he plays as a bat, full stop. I mean, if you think about it, if they're going to face Sri Lanka, even New Zealand will throw a lot of spin at them with Santner, Ravindra, Phillips, potentially Sodhi. Sodhi got hammered by Australia in that recent series, but conditions are going to be different. And then if you're India, if you're Rahul Dravid and Rohit Sharma, how many spinners are you picking to face Australia in St. Lucia? You'd be picking at least 3, if not 4.
16 overs of spin and Bumrah.
Yeah, correct.
What time are the games on here? They're like mid-morning, about 10:30 a.m.?
I think the England game's in the middle of the night. I think that's a 3 a.m. one, but I think the rest are at a reasonable hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can definitely see people around the country just having a screen on at work, just getting frustrated by names that are hard to say from Sri Lanka, just spinning us out and like looking at the screen every time they're having another wicket. Like I can already picture that happening, just getting frustrated.
And like T20 cricket in the Caribbean for Australians is kind of like the Olympics being on, where like the language and literacy around it's so low, you get a lot of capital to be able to speak in T20 lingo. So
that's true.
Could you assist people around some T20 stuff? So for example, there's another podcast knocking around in Australia where I'm aware that one of the hosts is quite close to a selector, and he continues to talk about David Warner floating in the order to help with matchups and right and left hand combinations with a lot of spin knocking around. Australia's very heavy on right hand bats. Is it possible we might see a left hander drop down the order, for example, because matchups and angles are important? Sound like a stupid idea to me, except for knowing that there's a good source there.
Yeah. I've heard that theory floated. I can't see it happening. I can't see it happening. They're pretty well settled with that top 3.
It'd be very novel just for David Warner to all of a sudden reprise his role as a middle order bat from age 17.
Yeah,
they're bowling spin again for us.
That's right.
That's right. It wouldn't make much sense. You'd rather him get through the power play and be there set at the 6 over mark. I think that would make a lot more sense. Plus, I think a lot of teams are going to bowl spin to Australia in the power play with head there, particularly if you've got a part-time off spinner. So in the case of Sri Lanka, Dhananjaya could open the bowling to head and Warner, and Phillips could bowl on the power play too if it's New Zealand. Or if it's Afghanistan who get through in that slot. Let's say they do upset New Zealand, somehow knock them out. Then you've got Majib, you've got Noor Ahmed, left arm.
This is very foreign stuff.
Yeah.
This feels more, like you're saying, this is more foreign than like going to India.
Yeah.
This is like an Indian test series, but for T20 cricket.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So if Australia pulls this off, it would be like the gnarliest kind of victory against the natural inclinations of our team. I know we've got guys who can play on these decks and muscle sixes like everybody else, but it feels very... The conditions do not feel suited to our style of play.
Yeah,
But then again, we played in Australia 2 years ago and got knocked out before the semis. So.
Knocked out the power play against New Zealand in the fucking first game.
Right. At the comforts of the SCG. They don't know. They don't know what they're going to get. There is a thought, my understanding is that they would like to almost set the tone at some stage in the group stage to maybe trial the 8-batter format and see if they can elevate the comp. I think there's going to be a lot of feeling out early in the tournament to see which way the
Inglis
tournament's
coming
going.
in? He's saying that?
That would be Green playing.
Right.
So they've basically got three models that they'd like to play, which the standard one is the 7 bats, the big 3 or Ellis and 1 spinner in Zampa. You can play 2 spinners and 2 quicks, or you play 8 batters. So Cameron Green basically plays as one of the bowlers. You pick 3 specialist bowlers, and then you need to get 8 overs minimum out of 4 all-rounders, which would be Marsh, Maxwell, Stoinis and Green, and you can bat all the way to 8 and have potentially, if Cummins is one of the 3 bowls, he bats at 9. So that is your IPL impact sub-style team where you can just go balls to the wall from ball 1. I would suspect, without knowing, but I think if Australia gets through the first 2 games, they beat England, for example, and they've got those points in the bank in the group stage against either Namibia or Scotland, I reckon they'll trial that lineup to see if they can set the tone and see if anybody else wants to copy that style of cricket. England will be super aggressive as well. You just have to look at their lineup and the way they're going to set up. They may well do that with play Livingston and Moe, if they think the wickets are going to suit them, play those two guys as bowlers essentially and bat all the way to 8 as well. That's their options that those teams can do. So teams with those number of all-rounders, West Indies or another, they might potentially play that way.
Model's a good word as well, just for like water cooler stuff in the office, different models and structures, the way they set up, the way they structure up. I'm just hearing that in the lingo coming into play as well.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, if you want to impress your mates, that's the way to do it. Absolutely.
Or let them know that you've never felt the touch of a woman.
That's right. Yeah. So just talk about where your all-rounders have to bowl in the power play to make sure you can keep overs up your sleeve for Hazelwood or Stark in the middle overs. Who's going to bowl at the death, all of that stuff.
I looked up the CPL scores.
Who do you think? We'll just stick with Australia. Like, who do you think would come out if Ellis was to come in, or Agar, or both? I mean, we've just seen with Stark, for example. He just got pumped in the 14 games with one or two exceptions. It's almost like he bowls too fast, and if it's not swinging, the pace is to his detriment. But then, cometh the hour, cometh the man in the big games. Top of the mark, can knock anybody over and just set every team on the back foot, and you can't come back from there. Nathan Ellis is such a good player. He's such a prototype T20 player, and he's reliable. He's great at the top, great at the death. But, big three, New South Wales bush horse stuff. I mean,
yeah.
Who comes out?
Yeah, it's a good question. And my understanding is that they did have those discussions until Starkey decided that he just wanted to whip it out in the IPL finals and remind everybody who's boss. The numbers are very, very clear over the last 4 years that Nathan Ellis is Australia's best death bowler by a mile.
Yeah.
And Australia's got one issue there. That is their big weak link, is their death bowling. So those last 4 overs, Pat's done a pretty good job in this IPL. He's had a couple of moments where it hasn't quite worked out for him, but Josh Hazlewood is not a strong death bowler by the numbers. He is Australia's best power play bowler by a mile. And Stark over the last 4 years, even if you include the last 2 performances, hasn't been great in any of the phases by the numbers. But then he can come out and do what he does. If it swings, well, he can win your games in 3 overs. So, yeah, it's a really interesting question that they have to work out how they. And again, you're getting into the real nitty gritty nuffy areas here, but they have to work out how they structure their overs and where they think the all-rounders can pinch hit and not be damaged as much. So I think in the case of Australia, they would probably err on the side of having your specialist bowlers bowl more towards the back end, and they would use a Marcus Stoinis up front. So it would be more likely that a Stark or potentially a Hazelwood would be the ones who would come out in
Cummins
those scenarios.
untouchable. He's not captain, but he's untouchable.
I think he had such a good IPL because I would have thought he would have been probably 3rd in that ranking. Like T20 probably his weakest
and he's just
format.
come on massively.
And then
in
his
this
batting's
format.
so good as well, the death.
Correct. That's a big part of it too. Is he's Australia's nailed on number 8. Even when Agar plays, he bats in front of him now because he's such a good power hitter. Bats in front of Mitchell Stark. So I think that's right. So then you're trying to work out, and they'd obviously have to bowl Maxwell in the power play. If they play 2 spin, one of those guys has to bowl in the power play. So you have to basically, the way that they do it is they and a lot of teams do the same thing. You sit there and map out how your 20 overs is going to go, where your resources are needed. That's how they kind of put their teams together, and they try and maximise what's going to work for them and basically hide their weaknesses. There was some encouragement in terms of how Cameron Green bowled during the tournament in the IPL. He got better and better the longer he went.
He had a good tournament.
He did, yeah. And one of the issues for him has been in T20 cricket, he's been actually a little bit too predictable with his lengths and his lines and not too much variations. And he certainly improved his variations and just being a little bit more Andre Russell-like in terms of just being unpredictable and bowling a lot of random stuff, which in T20 cricket, particularly for spinners, works really well. Almost bowling for cut shots, bowling for hip high or rib high pull shots to men behind square for one, that type of stuff.
Those great deliveries.
Yeah, but then creating mishits because guys can't line up where they're going to go. Whereas someone like a Hazelwood who's a metronome, or even Cummins when he's really on, guys can line those blokes up because they get a little bit predictable with their length. So, and that's where Ellis kind of comes into his own because he's so much shorter, skiddier, harder to get underneath. His York is excellent. I mean, Punjab and Sam Curran said it after their last game, didn't he, that they should have played him a lot more. So it's a real live debate within the Australian selection panel, is my understanding, that they try and work out what's their best model.
I think India with the bookies are favourites. Right. Would you agree with that?
No, I probably wouldn't actually, but yeah.
It's so hard to decide.
It is. It's hard. Yeah. I think it's just such a lottery.
Yeah. Is that because of Chokley?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get you in trouble for it.
No. Their bowling's really, really good. If it spins, they'll be a nightmare. And if Sky has a great tournament,
I
think they need Hardik to turn up.
Yeah.
He has
hugely important to them.
Yeah, very much
non-impact sub.
Very much so, and they'll need Rohit to have a good tournament. Rohit's T20 record actually isn't as good as what people think it is. His ODI record is phenomenal, but actually as a T20 player, he's never quite been the same. So, it'd be interesting to see what they do with their wicketkeeper. They've got options there, but their attack, when you put Bumrah, Arshdeep can obviously swing it up front if they want to pick him, and then they've got a variety of spin that they can. Any matchup that they want.
Every hand, every discipline, every angle.
Yeah. The only thing they don't have is, they don't have right arm off spin. That's the only thing they don't have, but it's not something you really need or you want to bowl in T20.
How does Agar get into this? I mean, they're not taking him to not play him, right? I mean, second spin is going to be huge, hugely important at the back end of the tournament on some of these decks, right?
Yeah.
And his, he's not coming off on-field performances. I mean, he's being picked for like international DNA and like culture fit reasons, which I like, by the way.
Yep.
Great guy. Be an incredible comeback for him to come into the side and show what a great cricketer he can be. But he doesn't have much form to speak of. But I guess they're just really banking on left arm orthodox and him coming through, right?
Basically, yeah, 100%. Ragger in Barbados against England, who have a all right-hand top six. Yeah, they turn up and see something that's going to spin. He's in, and he'll probably have to bowl, maybe one in the power play, or Maxwell bowls that overs in the power play, and then they just try and squeeze with Zampa and Agar together in the 7 to 14 phase. So that's one spot he comes in. If India don't pick Rishabh Pant, and they've got a right-hand heavy middle, because they'll only have Jadeja down the bottom plus Jaiswal at the top potentially. I mean, they had Agar set from quite a way out before his calf injury to play that first World Cup game in Chennai last year, if you remember. I think we talked about this when we were sort of previewing for that World Cup, because he'd played in a game at Chepauk earlier in the year and bowled really well. So there's two games that you could look at, but if they get there and they see the wicket is definitely going to spin and they want 10 plus overs of spin out of their 20 bowled, they'll have Zampa and Agar in the attack, and then they'll have Maxwell, and then they'll fit their pieces around that.
Right. Finally, for me, obviously fair to say that the Aussies who did well in the IPL take that form into the tournament, and those Aussies who didn't do well in the IPL are saving their runs and wickets for the tournament. So to that end, Glenn Maxwell's probably in the perfect position to do some damage again for Australia.
It was put to me by someone who knows Maxie really well. I asked him, would you be worried about his form coming in? He said, no, not really. Always view it as he's one hit closer to another epic the longer he goes without getting a score. So, I mean, that's Glenn Maxwell, right? And
totally earned the right.
How hilarious would it be if he turned up against India and got 120? The RCB fans would be raging at the thought of that. But how often's he done it? No, he did it against Afghanistan last year. His record in T20 international cricket's incredible. Getting back in and around the Australian group, the vibes. There's a lot of excitement about Mitch Marsh as captain and the culture that he brings. They love him, and they just love the relaxed, calm, comfortable environment that they all find themselves in. They're going to be playing golf every day. It's going to be a magic trip for them.
What a trip.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Get the sticks out. Mitch is a bit funnier than Pat, just as from a natural perspective. What a great time.
Yeah, it's pure vibes for those blokes. I think, take them out of the high stress environment of the IPL. I think they'll be fine. The only thing, and you mentioned it off air, Pez, is fatigue. Obviously, for being in India for 3 months in the lead-in to a World Cup is not ideal. We saw it with the WTC final last year with Cameron Green into the Ashes. So that'll be the challenge. But, I think the guys will be fine. But it's such a short, sharp tournament. Anything.
Surely Australia can't do it again. Like, it has to be one of the teams who's got a monkey on their back about the World Cup that has to do it. Australia surely are due just to
Dial one in.
crash out, to dial one in. It has to be the case.
But at the same time,
If they don't win, Argus report.
They should pick Fraser McGurk.
Royal Commission.
Yep.
Too vibey. Too much golf.
Yep.
Looking forward to so it's if they win, one of the greatest teams ever, also doing what's expected.
Yep.
And if they do anything but win, Royal Commission.
Yeah.
And that's
Change of leadership. It's all a bit too relaxed.
That's right.
Yep.
Cummins.
We need a disciplinarian in there.
Yeah.
George Bailey's head on a stake.
Indeed.
Yep.
Let Gambier coach us, perhaps.
That's right. Yep.
That's right. So that's hey, if you're not from Australia and you're listening or watching this, other teams are good too. Like, recognise it. England good, South Africa
Just
good.
never seen it myself.
Yeah, Windies good at home, all good.
We'll just turn up.
Pakistan can do some damage, I guess.
We'll just turn up to a semi with our cocks out. And
Yeah. Well, no, that's pretty much my preview. Like, New Zealand, no one's talking about New Zealand.
Yeah. Always there.
No one talks about them every single time.
Yeah.
And every single time they do more than you expect.
Yeah.
But I think Australia's strategy, apart from what Alex has said, which I think is wrong, is get to the semi-final, tunnel stuff, testicles.
Yep. Tunnels, testicles.
Tunnels and testicles.
Yep.
That's usually worked for us.
Yep.
Cock out, hog out, swing it around.
Get Starkey in.
Get Starkey in.
He takes two of the power play.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, we're in the final. What time's
Starkey.
it on?
Oh, he's swinging.
Catch the highlights. The Swans are playing well.
That's right. We're very grateful for your time, Alex, and for giving us the hard-earned information that you research and process and into lovely insights so well. So thanks so much for joining us, mates, and didn't mean to undermine you by saying it's really just about cocks out in the semis, but there are two schools of thought, and I do think they work together.
No, I think you're right. I think that's how they operate. It's all about throbbers. It's all about throbbers in semi-finals.
Thanks, Alex.
All right. Hashtag AskTGC. Hey, great to be back. Great to get into the whole discussion around cricket instead of just one competition. As good as that competition was, as fun as it was, the moments that we got to share with everyone. But now, now the real stuff is starting. International cricket.
Yeah, indeed, mate. No, it does. It feels good.
It's nice to have Jimmy on. Nice to have Alex on the couch.
Yeah,
again.
good contrast. Trying to offer some value there.
Just trying to offer some value, something different, something fun.
Yeah. Elite athlete chat about sport, X's and O's chat from a real journalist, who covers cricket and crunches the numbers and the data and speaks to people. Is nose to the ground, informed about the game.
Interesting. Okay.
And Alex is a very good player himself.
He was a very good, and that does help that he can catch. All right, hashtag AskTGC. Please do get in your hashtag AskTGCs, or if you want to join us on Patreon, patreon.com/greatcricketer. That's where you're going to get everything for TGC, everything that you've ever needed. 80 wrote in. Hashtag AskTGC. He actually wrote it on Patreon, Pezza.
Okay.
He says, hashtag AskTGC, cricket with baseball people. In the vein of quick questions about cricket in America, let me write in a slightly longer comment about my first time playing baseball. I'm attending to graduate school in Chicago. When I first started last year, I had hubris. I believe no one in America played cricket, and simply by virtue of having grown up in Mumbai, I could probably make it at club level. Boy, was I wrong. 2 years ago, I started playing cricket, and since then, I've been playing cricket for 10 years. I believe no one in America played cricket, and simply by virtue of having grown up in Mumbai, I could probably make it at club level. Boy, was I wrong. Turns out, if you're from a country with 1 billion people with a large immigration, with a large immigrant population in the States, there are going to be people who can play cricket in Chicago. I pulled up to practice and someone asked me if I've played, and I said, yeah, a bit in school. Now, that was a lie. I only had ever played casually back home. But just as I was spreading the misinformation of my exploits as a schoolboy prodigy, I turned and saw a familiar face. One that I couldn't place immediately, but when I did, my entire being sank. It was a guy from my high school who actually played Harris Shield and shit. Pretty sure he bowled to Prithvi Shaw once. Anyway, a couple of awkward conversations, drop catch and a wheeling middle stump later, I left and did not come back. And I thought that would be the end of playing cricket for me. Harris Shield, Pezza? It's like an age group.
Synonymous with Mumbai cricket, and it's not to be confused with the Brisbane women's competition named after Laura and Grace Harris.
Yeah, that's right. A few months later, some guys in my office...
the cradle for legendary talents like Sachin Tendulkar, Vinod Kambli, Rohit Sharma, Prithvi Shaw, and Shardul Thakur. And this bloke.
And 80s mate from school. A few months later, some guys in my office, local Chicago Bears-loving baseball fans, showed interest in learning cricket. This was my chance. This was my chance to be really the best at some sport at some point in my whole life. So we bought a bat, a few tennis balls, and on a fine Saturday morning, headed out to play. It was glorious. The baseball guys had the hand-eye coordination where after some time there was minimum critical competence, but it was still bad enough where I was good. But the best part was these guys were just trying to have fun. Like, it didn't matter if someone was good or not. What the fuck was that? I was able to patronise Deluxe, offering to bowl slow, inverted commas, letting all the batters have a couple of wickets each and batting last. I just want to make sure everyone gets a bat. Establishment of dominance masquerading as sportsmanship, but they loved me. In fact, so much so, I was invited to join their weekly beer softball league. I didn't know what to expect, but I went the first week, worried about losing my established athletic dominance. But beer softball is literally the greatest. It's baseball, but with a larger ball, and the fielders field with a beer in their hands. The pitchers pitch with a beer in their hands, and there's literally beers to be had at every base. It's actually just fun. I was able to hit a couple of balls into the outfield, and everyone was impressed that I could catch a baseball without the gigantic glove. They kept throwing me balls and I kept taking catches, and it was great. I feel like a dog in a circus, impressing these Americans with my wonderful tricks. So here's my question. Am I really petty for deriving joy by being good when playing tennis ball cricket with some guys who drop the bat and run horizontally away from the pitch out of pure instinct every time they make contact with the ball? Or do I just enjoy the fact that I'm actually enjoying being outside in the summer and there's not a ball of anxiety in my chest every time I'm batting? Thanks, fellas. Love the Patreon. I'm really sad about missing your New York show. Cheers.
I understand what he's talking about, particularly that idea of dominance masquerading as sportsmanship.
Right.
There can be nothing better than that. But by the same token, and I know I've mentioned this a few times before, and it absolutely is a reflection of my poor character.
Okay, here we go.
But I find those engagements torturous. The idea of balancing everybody getting a go with still looking good and discharging your own needs for success and competitive drive. Like the idea of I'm playing, particularly with cricket, and again reflects poorly on me, but like playing just for fun. It's I don't mean that that's because I'm some like wild competitive hog, or dog, or anything like that. It's just a habit. Like just when you play, you just want to play properly,
Yeah, you don't play for fun because there is no fun. There is no enjoyment in relaxing.
It's not a fun game.
It's not a fun game. It's not fun.
It does. It's going to be curious to see again. Like, and we'll talk about this when we get to the US. Our next show will be hopefully at Dealey Plaza where JFK was assassinated.
Yeah.
But like, it'll be interesting to see how cricket is marketed to the American audience. Like, we understand that there's more specificity to it. Like, this is there's a huge South Asian, fan base there. Is it necessarily about getting into the mainstream? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But like, it's going to be very interesting and strange to see how cricket is marketed to Americans. Like, is it going to try and look like fun? because I think that would be its first mistake.
Yeah, you can't start your marketing campaign with a lie.
I know plenty have tried, but how do you package cricket in a way where the unsuspecting potential customer goes, you know what, I'd like to play that.
Come and play our game. It's good for kids. Not if you knew our scorer.
What does a cricket delivery look like? I caught what you were doing there. Like, to someone who hasn't seen it, it is the most bizarre arrangement of limb synchronicity. Synchronicity? Yeah. Coordination. What is that?
Yeah.
Hitting a ball, like the way the elbow goes up and the bat doesn't really come on a flat plane like a baseball bat does. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Play a straight drive and realize how unnatural your body moves. Your elbows are not supposed to point in that direction. They're just not.
Yeah, like. And why do I feel like still there would be some, like this, to this guy's experience where he's like, oh, some guys could actually play the game and I thought I'd be the best.
Yeah.
You know someone's going to be able to play a straight drive or an on drive and you're like, I've been playing the game for 30 years and I've never hit the ball in that direction before.
Yeah. Not
mechanically speaking. That's right. That's a sort of leading edge one trying to work it down a fine leg.
One time I got bowled and the ball ended up going to mid-on. So we were using metal stumps.
But it's a torturous experience. I'd find, the idea of, I don't know, do you like the idea of, do you think you could do it with softball though, with like a beer in your hand? Everything you do, you have to be holding a beer. It sounds like alcoholism, to be honest. And I'm not judging it. He's like, this is just alcoholism.
Yeah.
But he said
My dad used to do it when he came home from work. He couldn't do anything without a beer in his hands.
That's right. Put me to bed. Good night, son. He called me son.
He stank of piss. That's not even true.
Roger, you stink of piss.
Okay, what about this, Pezza? Okay, cricket's always trying to make it.
Fucking test matches.
That was the weirdest thing. He never played any test matches. He just was always asking.
Well, now that you can get those replica baggy green caps, you can do that. We could do that at Bradman's, the Bradman Bucks.
Okay, you know how cricket's always been trying to make it in America. Every sport is trying to make it in America. Yeah. Do you or I, as cricket fans, do we actually want the game to make it in America? What if America Americanized the game? Now, we're going there. We're gonna boots on the ground, which is just a chemist, a chain of chemists. We're gonna start.
People don't realize we're actually trying to start a franchise, a chemist franchise called Boots.
But we're gonna go over there. We're gonna figure out what's gonna go. What the fuck is going on? Okay.
Yeah.
But do we actually want it?
Yeah, can...
Maybe we do.
Yeah, is there a scenario in the next 2 weeks where, Jay Shah is on Conan or Fallon?
Yeah.
And it's the game that's taken America by storm.
Right. Yeah.
And Jay Shah's there.
Yeah.
Just talking up how good cricket is.
Yeah. Gambier's on Rogan.
Yeah, the Roots on the side just wanting to know more, who does cricket send out?
Yeah.
To host Saturday Night Live.
I guess it's Coley, isn't it? I
guess so.
He's the face of it.
Yeah.
Or Smudger. I'd watch Smudge do 10 minutes on SNL.
Maybe Ravi Shastri.
Maybe.
But he's busy on the 10th.
That's true. He can't have him. He's ours.
No, it is. It's don't touch that. That's ours. One of the greatest feelings. Yeah, I'm the same as you. But we could have talked about this earlier in the show.
Probably.
But it is difficult to imagine the game literally making any imprint on the American psyche.
Yeah.
The American psyche as we understand it. Any country, America is not any one thing, like India, like Australia, or whatever. But the America we understand, it's difficult to see the game being noticed. I mean, I feel like this World Cup is going to be hard pressed to be noticed by Australians who's played the game.
Yeah, who might win it, might not, but might.
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, there to give it every shot.
We're going to give it every
on the
shot.
Ground, pharmacy
Boots on the ground,
stuff.
pharmacy stuff.
But it is, like even just the idea of, I mean, to be fair to like Americans, I understand it probably a bit more like open to new things or fun things, you know.
Yep.
But yeah, like I'd imagine it's going to be more like crow's feet, or didn't really know this was happening.
Cricket, yeah. Well, I guess we're going to find out. You can join us on Patreon if you want to get behind that and follow everything we're doing over there. We've got so much work. We're in the US, which is all a good thing, and we're going to try and bring you as much fun stuff as possible over the next 2 or 3 weeks. As we head to Dallas and then on to New York. So the next time you hear from us, we'll be over there. We'll be doing some fun stuff. We're there for the first game for USA Canada. So please do join us the next time that you want to enjoy your cricket, I suppose.
And thanks for enduring this show. There was a lot to get off the chest, I think.
There was a lot to get off the chest.
Long show, but...
I've had a good time.
Yeah, I've had a good time. It's nice,
Have you had a good time?
nice to be back, just kind of drawing on everything happening in cricket. Didn't even get a chance to talk about the French women's ghost games that have been taking place, but we can hold that over till next week.
Or that there's nine players available for Australia's warm-up games.
Ronnie McDonald and I think he's fielding. And
awesome.
a couple of staffers.
Who are they playing against?
I don't know. I think that they have West Indies' second game.
Oh, okay.
Maybe Bangladesh.
Well, that's just two blokes who are right across what's happening in the cricket. We'll see you guys from stateside the next time you hear from us. Thank you so much for joining us and sticking with us for this one. We'll see you guys real soon. Cheers.